This is John Jackson Miller, and you're listening to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. May the Force be with you.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Canon Podcast, episode number 88. I am your host, Brian Miller, and I'm so glad you've decided to join me to talk about our favorite thing in the world, yet again, Star Wars. Episode 88, that was a good year. 1988 was a good year. I hear a legend was born that year. Anyway, episode 88, man, we've got a lot to talk about, and to help me navigate it this week, I've got with me my good buddy, my co-host from across the pond. You guys know him and love him. From several time zones away. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Usef Wally. How are you doing today, brother?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen and fellow Star Wars fans. It is good to be a Star Wars fan, isn't it, Brian? Unless you're me and you miss out on celebration tickets.
Oh, and, you're gonna hit me with that right off the rip.
Well, no, I mean seriously, because you did talk about it last episode. I just have to say that I do have gripes with the website, and with it's probably my fault, the fact that I used my phone to do it, and a bunch of different things happened, and then eventually when I got home and I opened up the laptop, and I was really close to getting into my turn in the queue, and it just didn't work out. I am still gonna apply for the US visa. I do have hopes that I'm gonna find tickets that are closer to face value prices. I mean, to be honest with you, what was it, Brian? Roughly $300 for the 4 days, maybe a little bit more than that. 320, something like that. The 4-day pass was cheaper. It was like
It was like like $270, I think, American.
$270.
Yeah.
So, and then if you buy all 4 days individually, it's probably like $320. VIP tickets were like $1,000.
It was a little more.
But
than
the
that.
thing is, yeah. But then the thing is that even if I could find another 4-day pass to buy, or all 4 days individually for like, I'm at the moment I'm willing to go as high as $450.
Oh
or
man,
$500 or something like. Yeah,
Yusuf's got
I'm
a price. Every man
know
has
what I
his
mean?
price. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my price. So I probably shouldn't be talking about money that much on this show. It's not really a point, but that's just, I'm showing you that. Yeah, it is an important thing for me to try to come in there next year and see you, and hopefully even pass by Steven. If he can't come by Celebration himself, I'll go to him in Pennsylvania. G should be there. Nick, I'll get Nick to join. No worries.
We'll go kidnap
Jay,
him.
Unfortunately, yeah, exactly. Jay isn't planning on it. He's got stuff in Wales, and he's like, well,
Okay.
it's a pretty big trip, and I got family and stuff. He's not really down for that.
Understandable.
So,
Yeah.
everybody, exactly understandable. Everybody's got stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I would be very, very excited to go to Celebration. So I am still holding out for hope. I'm going to renew my passport later this month. It's Eid next week to all those observing. So happy religious holiday next week. So probably right after that, I'll be renewing my passport and getting myself a U.S. travel visa appointment. So wish me luck with that.
Yes, absolutely. And for the record, Kirsty and I have got a hotel room booked with 2 beds. Just in case you are able to get tickets, we're going to leave it that way.
So sweet. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We're going to
Hopefully we won't be that desperate. I think the hotel room is probably also going to sell out pretty darn.
That's why I
soon.
booked mine as fast as I did, and it wasn't cheap. But
Exactly.
But no, like talking about celebration tickets for a minute. Yeah, that whole thing. I haven't got to talk to you about this because you haven't been on since we got
I was
tickets.
pretty bummed out, to be honest.
I know, and I was dude, and so I lost sleep that night because I told Nick this. It was kind of like it was kind of like a survivor's guilt thing because I was like, oh, I got tickets and nobody else did because I didn't know if JG had gotten tickets yet.
Yeah.
And then everybody, I knew Steven hadn't, and I knew you hadn't, and I knew Nick didn't even try it. I knew Jay wasn't going to try it. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to feel so bad being the only one. Like I had this big plan to meet everybody at Celebration, and then we're going to be the only ones that get to go. I was like, oh man. So, but we went ahead and booked a room with two beds just in case you're able to come. And you've got a bed, so you don't have to worry about that aspect of it. We're good. We're still still got hope. Rebellions are built on hope, right? So
Rebellions, I was just
so
about
we
to say,
are.
resistance is
Yeah, we're
rebellions are
gonna
built
see if
on
we can
hope.
make this happen. So
Absolutely. No,
and
I'm excited. I'm pretty confident what's going to happen.
speaking of celebration, there's a little thing that I'm wanting to do. I had this idea. So the holy grail of my Star Wars collection, and let me get onto this, and then we'll get onto everything. The holy grail of my Star Wars collection is to have an Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker lightsaber made from an actual Graflex with the pieces and everything on it. I don't want just like a replica. I want to be able to actually get the pieces and put it together myself. And yesterday I got the first piece of it, and it's the main piece. I was able to get me a Graflex handle. And so, and it's hollow. It's hollow. I've got a lot of pieces I got to get for it, but I'm going to turn this baby into...
Enlarge your screen. Make it
I guess we could do that.
Just your screen so that everybody who's watching.
Yeah, here we go. Now we can see her. Yeah, that's... Yeah, so it says Graflex there around the band. I'm excited.
You being in the back in the sort of dark and that being in the light looks so awesome.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful?
Exactly.
But yeah, and it's like I always wondered what it'd feel like to hold one of these, and now it's like, man, it feels so perfect for a lightsaber. Like whoever saw that and said that's a good lightsaber hilt's a genius. I mean, that's beautiful. So I've got the kit to turn this into the lightsaber from Empire. And so my goal is to get this put together and then take it to Celebration and try to get Mark Hamill to sign it. That's my goal. So, and if I don't get him to sign it, that's okay. I still have a Graflex lightsaber to add to my collection, which is still my holy grail. I still want one so bad. So, I got that in the mail yesterday, and it came in this like cool, like I showed this to Usef before. It came in this cool, like old timey box.
Looks awesome.
From like the 30s and stuff. It looks so cool.
It looks legit. It looks proper.
No, it's so awesome. So, I'm excited. We're going to see how that goes. And when I get it done, I'll show it off. It was just my shameless little bragging plug. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I've always wanted one of these. It's insane that I've got one. It's a lot heavier than I thought it would be too. But anyway, also before we get going, this is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm fighting something respiratory, and I've got a serious migraine right now that's trying to kick my butt and trying to knock me down. So we're gonna power through it though. We're gonna do an episode, and I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot to talk about this episode.
We got some fun stuff to talk about.
We got some fun. This is gonna be a fun episode. This is gonna be a really fun one.
Yeah.
Before we get going, make sure to check out all of our social media platforms. They are listed in the description below. Our Facebook, our YouTube, our Spotify, what else is there? Apple Podcast, Twitter. All the links for that is in the description below. And go check those out. Follow us there. If you guys like the show, you can subscribe and follow. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Usef, the last couple episops we've done have been really, really popular. They've been super popular.
We are very happy with that.
Very,
Absolutely.
very, very
none
happy.
None of us expected it, but we must be doing something right, and we hope to keep going with quality content.
Something, man. I even got a new webcam. Like I was trying to upgrade. I was like, yeah, let's do this. So, but yeah, go check out all of our socials. You can also check out our official website, StarWarsCanon.net. A couple of timelines there, Legends and Canon. You can submit a mailbag question. There's a big blue button up in the corner. You can click to submit a mailbag question, and all kinds of things on there. Upcoming canon, everything like that is on there. So, and it's still a work in progress. So, if there's something you guys want to see on the website, shoot it my way, and I'll see if there's a way to do it. I'm trying to figure out how to put a celebration countdown on it right now. And so we're gonna see if we can get that going. So definitely go check out our website, StarWarsCanon.net. Let's get on with some of our main topics here, Usef. I've got a handful of things. I'm over on StarWarsNewsNet.com right now. For those of you that don't know, I've got some buddies over at Star Wars Newsnet. I used to be with them and work on their YouTube channel with them. And so good friends over there. Matter of fact, Tyler Bradshaw, who, if you guys ever tuned in for Star Wars Timeline show on the Star Wars Newsnet, he and I did that show together. We were basically doing what me and Usef are doing now, going through the timeline and doing everything. He got tickets. I guess he was able to get tickets. So I'm going to get to meet Tyler over there. It was pretty cool. Going to get to meet JG. Going to get to meet a couple of other people also. Sorry, I keep talking about Celebration. I can't help it. It's like, oh, anyway. Let's get on with our main topics. I'm on Star Wars Newsnet, so if you guys are wanting to look at the same thing I'm looking at news-wise, head on over there. Let's talk about this first, Usef. Ahsoka Season 2. Are you excited for Ahsoka season 2?
Very, very excited about Ahsoka season 2. Ahsoka season 1 was great.
Absolutely.
I mean, the actress choice when we heard it was announced back for her appearance in Mando, that was pretty cool. And then her recurring appearance in Mando and then getting her own season, she is fierce. She's brilliant. And the show as well, Anakin showing up in there. Oh, that season was great. It was really great. Baylan Skoll, you know, all these characters introduction. We get to see a little bit of Thrawn. We get to see a little bit of this. We get to see a little bit of that. Cannot wait to see season 2. Can't see how, you know. So wait, are we gonna see? I mean, do you have any predictions right off the bat? I mean, I do think that Hayden Christensen's gonna return. There's definitely gonna be some more scenes of that, like flashbacks, whatever. I really think that that's gonna be there. Thrawn, definitely, he's coming back because he's coming back. Exactly, he's coming back through that portal. Apparently, is it true that Admiral Akbar is going to be making an appearance?
I saw this. So, from what I've heard, we are going to see a showdown between Admiral Akbar and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Nice.
Nice. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause about that, because there is something that gives me a little bit of pause about it. It's not that big a deal, I don't think. I almost feel like, and it depends on the context in which it happens. I'm hoping that it doesn't blow the proverbial wad of the movie I'm hoping Dave Filoni makes down the road of the New Republic fighting Thrawn and the Remnant and everything. I'm hoping that it's just like a precursor fight, kind of like how in the Obi-Wan series, how Obi-Wan went up against Vader the first time, got his butt completely kicked, and then came back with a vengeance. I'm hoping that that's what happens here, and that this is a fight with Admiral Akbar and Thrawn, where Akbar realizes he gets his butt kicked. I hope Akbar loses and realizes, oh my gosh, this guy is formidable. He's a new enemy. We have to take him seriously because
it's a trap.
Because what we've seen so far is nobody in the New Republic taking the threat of Thrawn seriously. Nobody is taking it seriously at all, except the Rebels crew, Hera and them. They're taking it seriously, and Mon Mothma, I think, is starting to realize this could be a big thing. But I need to see Akbar, who is a strategic genius himself, and actually lose to Grand Admiral Thrawn. And so I hope that's what this is. I hope it's not the big fight where Thrawn gets taken down. I hope they don't do that and just a second season of Ahsoka. I don't see that happening. I don't see them making this big hype of bringing Thrawn back in season 1 in live action for the first time just to defeat him in the very next season. So I'm hoping they're not dumb enough to do that. But yeah, no, Akbar against Thrawn. I want to see that, dude. That looks awesome. Well, if you're excited for it, you're going to have to wait a little longer because the release window is now 2027. I think we were all kind of hoping
end of this year. We were all hoping end of this year, fall, winter, Christmas time.
Yeah,
like
and so, but we know Dave Filoni is editing everything right now. We do know that. It's just, man, I was really hoping it would be this year. But he's got a good point because somebody asked him when Maul was still going, what do we know about Ahsoka so far? And he's like, well, everything needs its moment, which I completely agree with. That's a smart thing to say. You need to build the hype up for that. And you don't want to just jump off one train and right onto the other without any breathing room in between to process Maul and everything like that. And so I'm excited. I mean, I would rather them take the extra time and make sure it's done right than to rush it out just for the sake of rushing it and make some product.
Let me ask you this question. Darth Maul just ended, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So from 2 weeks ago to the release of Mando and Grogu film in theaters is around a month, maybe less than, right? Nice mug, by the way.
Thank you. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, R2D2. Hell yeah. So remember when we were very, very optimistic about all these different Star Wars projects going on and being released? So you had the end of Darth Maul just a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of weeks from now, next week, is going to be the Mando Grogu film. Is this the kind of sequence that you would have liked, and I would, for all of us, question for all of us really, that we would like to see? Yeah, one project ends, another one continues, and then this one, there's another milestone here, again and again. So we've got content regularly. Every few months, there's something. Every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month, every season, every spring, Christmas, summertime, whatever. Or would you be like, no, I actually think giving some breathing room in between these projects is better. Here, because I could
Right.
definitely see him showing the first episode of Ahsoka season 2 at Celebration, for
Absolutely.
example.
First two
You know
episodes.
what I mean?
First two episodes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. So
Mhm.
do you stick to, oh yeah, this is a great year for Star Wars. We just finished Darth Maul and we're getting this now. There's a few novels and comics coming in June. This is great. This is what we want. Regular intervals of content coming down again and again and again. Or would you rather, no, one release, two releases a year max is important?
I
As a
think
cat.
it depends on what the project is coming out, and I think it depends on what medium it's going to take. Do I want 3 movies a year? Not necessarily. But do I want like a movie, a TV show, and
Novels and comics.
yeah, something like that, or in maybe a game release? Absolutely. I think
Game
I think if you spread it out, but if you do like 3 games a year or 7 TV shows, it's like, okay, you need to.
Oh,
Back
that's
it off
right.
a
End of
little
this
bit.
year, we're getting the Star Wars Racer.
Yeah,
I
we're
can't
getting the
remember.
racer game. Yeah. I guess we could talk about this too. They're kind of hinting at Jedi 3 being announced here before long.
Exact.
And
yes,
so,
yes.
I mean,
Captain's returns for the final in his trilogy.
yeah.
Of games.
But to answer your
I hope
question,
he gets a show after this, by the way.
oh, absolutely, yeah. To answer your question though, I think they should release things as they get them done. I like having a date to look
Okay.
forward to.
I like that logic.
Yeah, I like having a date to look forward to, right? Kind of like this Ahsoka thing, right? We were all kind of assuming it was going to be the end of the year, and now it's kind of 2027. And some people run with that as, oh, they're pushing it back. It's not that great, and that's not what it is. It's just not done yet. And so I don't want them rushing to make me happy by making it come out this year if it's going to diminish the quality of it. I would rather. Now, if you want to come out with like 3 shows in a year and they just happen to all land on the same year and you've been working on them for several years and they're all polished and they're beautiful, by all means, release them. But I also agree with the sentiment of, everything needs its moment. I do agree with that. I think that's a great mentality to have. But how long is that moment is the question. How long does that moment need to last? How long do you need to process Maul? How long do you need to process Mando and Grogu? Which we can talk about the early reactions of Mando and Grogu here in a minute, but it seems like it's pretty easy to process, moving on and everything, and then on to the next thing. Maul there was a lot there in Maul to process at the end. And so I think it just depends on the medium that they're releasing. Now, in my perfect world, they're releasing 2 movies a year. And then, and they're great quality movies, right? Because if Marvel can do it, why can't Lucasfilm figure it out? You know what I mean? Of course, there's a lot more to tell with Marvel than there is Star Wars at the moment, just because they had a plan. Lucasfilm might. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. But yeah, no, I think it just depends on the medium. And I just, there's, they release so many books a year, right?
Oh yeah.
I've gotten to the point where when they release more than like 3 or 4 books a year, and I'm like, okay, slow down. Like, take it back just a notch. Let's take some breathing room and get through each one, which I feel like they've done. I feel like they've really slowed down on the novels recently. But no, I think it just depends on what it is. To answer your question, I think it just depends on what it is, and I do like having like, okay, it does make sense to me that movies would come out in like summer and winter. That makes total sense to me. May and December are great times to release Star Wars movies.
For holidays and merchandise sales and savings and shopping
Right.
Trends and sprees. Sorry.
Yeah, yep. And so I think TV shows. I think spring and fall is really good for TV shows. Honestly, I know because like the new fall TV seasons always kick off in the fall. So maybe then that would be good. And I know video games usually drop in the fall too, right around holiday season. And so like the big AAA titles and all that releases. So I think spring and fall is a good time for series to really come out. And I think what did I say? Did I say that right? Spring and fall for games and series.
Yes, and TV shows.
Summer and winter for movies, I think, is kind of the if I had to assign a schedule, that's what it would be.
Yeah, but I mean, Dave Filoni basically saying exactly as what you just said. it needs its moment, basically, or needs its
Yeah.
own moment. So this is an important statement when I just hear it said back right now and us discussing it, because it feels like, so what you're saying, Mr. Filoni, is that season 1 was a setup for something great, and that season 2 is going to be kind of a big deal. I don't want to read too much into it. I don't want to set the bar really high. I don't want to get my hopes really, really high for no reason or anything like that. But season 2 for Ahsoka is going to be pretty big if this
I'm
is
hoping.
what I'm thinking. It feels like the war is finally going to start. So, you just mentioned, the whole Admiral Akbar thing and Thrawn and so this is going to be big. And we may even see, to be honest, I have conflicted feelings about this, but we may even see Luke show up in there. We may see
Could.
Leia and Han Solo,
Mm-hmm.
Lando, so a little bit of the old trio back together again, maybe even afar. Maybe even they just get like this sort of side scene or something. They're not like in the main thing. But if that happens, it's going to be cool to see. I just don't want them to overshadow
Yeah.
Ahsoka and her journey.
See, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be 2 main stories of the Ahsoka season 2. It's going
Okay.
to be, unless they got other plans to do this Balin Skull thing, which I don't think they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have recast him. And so they're going to be telling 2 separate stories. Thrawn is back in the Star Wars galaxy, and Ahsoka and Sabine and Shin and Balin are all still on Peridia.
Reunited, but then Ezra's got to be reunited with Ahsoka as well.
Ezra's back with Hera from the end of
With
season
Hera,
1.
excuse me. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reunited with Hera. Sorry,
And
not-
so there's going to be 2 main stories going in Ahsoka season 2, 2 separate galaxies, 2 stories and 2 separate galaxies happening at the same time. And so I'm hoping that he's able to split, because we don't know how many episodes this season's going to be. It could be 8 or 10 episodes. I don't know. Probably, I'm going to say it's probably closer to 8. But it's going to be hard to kind of split telling those, because those are 2 huge stories. From what we're kind of assuming is going on with Balin, hunting down the Mortis gods and everything like that. And then you've got Thrawn kind of making his debut appearance back into the galaxy. That's going to need a moment, So what's the finale of this season going to look like? I mean, is it going to be like Thrawn fighting Akbar and then cut away to Balin fighting Abeloth? Like, is that what's going to be this last season? So you're right. I think it's going to be something pretty big. And so if that's the case, and what's interesting is he said he's editing all the episodes at the same time. He said that. So that's interesting to me too. And maybe that's just the normal. I don't know. Because in my mind, I just think you would edit 1 episode at a time and get them done. But I guess maybe it would make more sense to edit them all at once in case you do something in like episode 6 and you're like, oh, I want to do a callback to that, or a foreshadow or whatever in season, or, in the first episode or whatever. So maybe it does maybe that's normal. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea how TV's made whatsoever. But yeah, no, Ahsoka season 2, it's going to be a lot of fun. And if it's going to be early 2027, like you said earlier, I'm hoping that we go into that panel at Celebration and they're like, here's the first 2 episodes. And I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
I can't wait. The episode of the podcast when we come back from Celebration is going to be insane. I cannot wait to do that episode.
If we're all there, we should try to do it while we're there. I'm
I've
not
planned on it.
entirely sure how that's gonna work.
I'm planning on
if
it.
you guys have if there's like a co-working space somewhere there in an evening that we can just rent out a room for podcasting, recording sessions,
Even in one of the hotel rooms. Yeah, we could just do it in one of the hotel rooms.
Exactly. And we just got to have our gear or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we could. I would love to do that. As a matter of fact, that was kind of like my hope in going to Celebration and getting everybody there, that we could all sit down for once and do like an in-studio, and everything. So,
Exactly.
But yeah, no, anyway, Ahsoka is coming out early 2027. We don't have a date yet. I'm going to assume it's probably going to be about late April is what I'm going to be assuming, because like we said, I truly think they're going to show the first 2 episodes at Celebration, and that's the first week of April. And I think they're going to release it immediately after that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. It's always fun to speculate. We're always wrong. I'm not always wrong. I was right about the Anakin popping up in Ahsoka season 1.
Yes, you were.
I was almost had it verbatim. I had that so accurate. That prediction was so accurate that after the show aired and I screamed saying, that's exactly what I said was going to happen, I was terrified that Lucasfilm lawyers were going to show up on my doorstep and be like, how did you know that? I want to know right now how you knew that. And how do you tell somebody, I just get lucky guess? Like how do you say lucky guess for getting the dialogue almost exactly right? Anyway, So yeah, Ahsoka season 2, early 2027 release. I'm gonna say end of April. That's gonna be my prediction. What do you guys think? When do you think it'll come out? Usef, when do you think? You think I'm sorry, late April. Do you think late April is probably about
Yeah,
about
I'm
par?
guessing as well that its first 2 episodes are gonna, or first showing would be during Celebration. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm guessing. If not, I would hope. I mean, I would prefer that it would be end of this year, but that's
Yeah.
clearly not going to happen. So
You just
it's
surprise us
probably
and
gonna
drop
be,
it right on Thanksgiving. Be
because
like,
the ramp up to
surprise!
Celebration. Exactly, there's got to be a huge ramp up to Celebration. If the Ahsoka finale leads into Celebration, I'm not saying that the finale is going to be shown in Celebration for spoilers and all that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not
no.
going to happen.
Yeah,
But
that's not gonna happen.
so if it ends up being shown in like February, and then Feb and March, and then it leads into Celebration. So in Celebration, you get to see the actress there, and you get to see everything else there, and you get to see like merchandise and all this stuff. And there's like another announcement, and you're going to get to see this whole huge, brilliant. There's going to be a crossover between Ahsoka and Mandogu, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. That might happen as well, but I don't think so. I think they're going to take it easy. They're not going to
Mhm.
try to do too many things at once. They're not going to try to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I just had a realization while you were saying that. If there's gonna be an Ahsoka season 2 panel celebration, guarantee it.
Exactly.
I might get to meet Shin. I might get to meet my girl. I can
Yes.
fix her. I can fix Shin. I know I can.
Cannot.
I can't.
Cannot.
Yeah, she's so beautiful. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Can't help it. I'm in love with Shin Hati. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about something that might have a couple of little reaches back into some Legend stuff. There's a new game that was announced recently that we really haven't talked about on the show. It was kind of announced during our hiatus. And so this is kind of the first time we're bringing it up and really talking about it. The Fate of the Old Republic is a game that has been announced that has wickedly accurate ties to Knights of the Old Republic, which is not canon. The game itself is not canon, but this game is. And so, Usef, first off, before we start talking about what they're telling us about this game and kind of the news that's surrounding it right now, what are your thoughts on doing kind of a spiritual sequel to a game that's not canon, but making the spiritual sequel canon?
It's so cool. So, firstly, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. There is still a remake for that that's
There
still
is, yeah.
going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So KOTOR is a pretty cool fan favorite kind of game. Let me just say that I didn't think this game was worth playing. When I did play it, because Brian and everybody else were like, no, it's legendary. You just got to go through it. Like, the game itself might not be the best cup of tea ever. Just play it. It's such a cool, like, little sort of insight into how we played Star Wars back in the day and how video games were back in the day. And the story is pretty damn interesting. You know, when you take a look, at Old Republic material and content and like just the story, and the fact that it's not canon is annoying because it's really interesting. And I know we recently got whole new tangents going in from like High Republic content coming into to sort of supplement our existing Star Wars content. It's giving us a lot of history. It's giving us a lot of lore. It's giving us a lot of this look at how the Jedi got to be in the position that they were when Darth Sidious took them down, basically. But then the Old Republic is something else entirely, because the Old Republic has it's far more violent. It's just so cool. And I really want to see that. I love the concept of them. Okay, so we see that everybody loves KOTOR. We're going to stop playing this whole, is it canon, is it legends thing. Let's just make sure that everything we make from now on is canon. And let's give the people what they want. Let's make a game within the same medium that everybody loved this KOTOR story and this KOTOR experience, Knights of the Old Republic experience. Let's now revisit the Old Republic with a new sort of shift and give it its own space. And there has to be something for everyone when it comes to Star Wars, you know?
Right.
And I am yet to have my villain itch scratched a lot. So from the novel side, I'm not worried, because the more Brian and I get into High Republic, well, Brian's already been through it. He's taking me on a tour of it. So the more I get in there, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like the Nihil a lot more than I currently do, which is a lot, by the way. And then for me to see other stuff, I really wanted the Acolyte to work out. I really do still want to see, not just Maul, but all the characters that we know and love. I want to see more of them. I want to see Ahsoka. I want to see Thrawn take to the big screen. I want to see, or at least on camera, even more, and see him. I do want the Old Republic. I want to see the violence in there. I want to see all those amazing trailers that were about the Old Republic online on YouTube. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Just YouTube it, the Old Republic trailers, and you see those two brothers fighting together, and their masters sort of like choosing between them, and then that the other one where the Old Republic, the Sith come in and they attack the Jedi Temple, they take it down. Unbelievable looking choreography. I want to be a part of that. I want to play that. I want to live that. And I'm one of those people who would rather play a 7 out of 10 rated immersive game than watch an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would much rather experience. I love being immersed in something. I love customizing my character, living into the world, feeling like I'm in control of the character and the story and making choices and doing all that. It's far a funner experience for me than just watching a movie and enjoying it. Even if it's an amazing movie, sure, it's one and done. A game, a really good one, takes hours and hours and hours, and you can do it again and again if you really like it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. That was quite a long spiel on that, but I really am excited for Old Republic content in general, and for it to be a game. Sign me up.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the gameplay length, and you were talking about hours and hours, because that's one of the things that they came out and was talking about on this game. Was that it's not going to be a 200-hour game. It's the original code,
but it is going to be RPG storytelling.
Yes, yeah, and I mean the original.
That's the important bit. Yeah.
The original KOTOR was like 25 or 30 hours, I think.
Which was what games were.
Which was great. Yeah, it was
linear. Good. Yeah, it was just great.
And then KOTOR 2 was pretty beefy also. I mean, it was about along the same lines as the first one. But this one, here's what's interesting, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't it the same game director from the original KOTOR?
It's
doing
Casey Hudson,
this?
yes.
Yes. So that's exciting. I'm just saying that's super exciting. And in the trailer for this game, you see Malik's ship. Was it the Leviathan? I think is what it was. You see it in this trailer, or a ship that looks a heck of a lot like it, crashed on a planet, basically Jakku style, right? And so I feel like I feel like KOTOR at this point is canon, but it's not canon. I feel like it is, but they just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. They don't want to definitively say it is, but I feel like it is at this point. And you can say something. You can say, "Hey, this is the sequel to this," but that's not canon. Yeah, but is it? Is it though? Because it might be, And so it's like bringing up Darth Bane and making him canon, but you don't tell any of his story. Well, there's 3 books. They're legends. Okay. So are those canon? They could be. We don't know, And so I feel like if they're doing because they said this is a spiritual successor of KOTOR, I feel like we're going to end up playing this game and it's going to be a sequel to KOTOR. That's what I truly believe. And here's the other thing. They've also come out and said, and this has nothing to do with KOTOR, but the principle is kind of the same. The novelizations for episodes 1, 2, and 3 are not considered canon. They've said those are not the ones that came out in 99, 02, and 05. Even though that novelization for Revenge of the Sith is one of the best novelizations of a film ever.
Yeah, it's on my shopping list to buy the special edition one when I get Celebration.
I'm
still
so if you look inside the cover of that book, the one that you're talking about ordering, it's got the Del Rey timeline of the canon novels. And so now I feel like that novel is canon because it has the canon timeline inside of it. It doesn't have the legends like the other version does. And so I feel like they've canonized that novel. And they haven't officially announced it, but it's just little nods here and there, little things that go, well, if that's the case, then that means that's canon, right? And so I've got it on my canon shelf. I've got all 3 of them on my canon shelf. But I feel like KOTOR is kind of doing the same thing where it's like, oh, we made a sequel to it. Oh, so are the other ones canon? Well, kind of. And so it's kind of like, so it's like, oh, here's a great example. Here's a great example. When James Gunn went from the DCEU to the DCU, okay, there were movies that came out that were sequels to things that came out in the DCEU that are in the DCU. You see what I'm saying? And so like Suicide Squad stuff, right? So some of those characters Peacemaker. Peacemaker's a great example where he's like, season 2's canon, but season 1's not.
Yes.
But is it? Because it's got to be,
So how do you get a season 2 that is canon?
Right.
Then what is season 1? Season 1's canon?
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
Canon. That's the answer.
So that's exactly what, and he's like, well, if something gets brought up, then it's canon. Okay, well, Creature Commandos brought up a crap load of stuff that happened in the Suicide Squad that is not canon, but the event still happened in canon, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe it's like pseudo-canon? I don't know. Play it. If you guys have never played KOTOR, what are you doing? It is a great game. It's turn-based combat. It's so good. So good. Anyway, one of the other things they came out and said was that this game is not going to have any AI involvement. None. I'll tell you what, I'm getting sick and tired of AI. It's not even, and I mean that with all the respect, AI, Skynet, don't come at me. I'm just saying, I mean that with all the love and respect in my heart. I still say thank you to ChatGPT when I'm done. Just in case. But I don't want to see AI in my video games a whole lot. I mean, there's a time and place for it, and there's a utilization for it that makes sense, but I don't think it's in creating art. That's just my take on it.
I mean, especially not when you have an amazing studio behind you and you have brilliant animators, you have a great platform for creating content like that is supposed to be catering to such an important experience, like how I value the experience of playing a video game.
Yeah.
So, or watching a movie or doing, seriously, it's so important that a game like that uses people who are faithful to the project. So if you're faithful to the project, you don't leave it into the hands of something that can screw up. You need to have full control. You need to have full customizability.
Yep.
So people argue with me about that. So I was having this. So a friend of mine here in Egypt started a graphics content, like a graphics creation studio using only AI.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why he's doing that is because basically he wants to show his clients, listen, you want to get something now and you want to get it cheaper. And you want to get it with a certain quality that, you don't want to leave it into the hands of human error.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can understand that for advertisements, for stuff that represents the brand of your company, for stuff that, he adds a little bit of music to this, he adds a little bit of this to that. And the good thing about it is that technically it's all original. There's no issues with copywriting, with people like scamming off of somebody's song from some sort of film, in an Egyptian film that was cinematic, or in a film in Hollywood that was, in the cinema, 3 years ago that was in theaters, all that stuff. Because that happens a lot in this part of the world. People just sort of like scam off of this sort of song or this sort of cinematic thing or this sort of narration. So what he's doing here is sort of trying to play the lightweight role of a content creator for branding, for advertising. So I have this issue with it, and I'm saying, well, where's the personal touch? And do you really have full control over customizability? And he says, whatever I sacrifice in customizability, so long as the client likes it, I'm good. So you do confirm that you are sacrificing some of the full control. It's like, yeah, because at the end of the day, AI is helping me make decisions and it's controlling stuff. I'm not sitting there with like Adobe Photoshop and playing with every single part of the brand and playing with every single part of the logo. It's just got it. Let's adjust a little bit. And it's out to ship. And this is where I completely agree with you. If it's a big enough project like this that's got a lot of content and it needs this kind of tailored experience to go in depth, then it can't be left to AI. Thank you guys for making this decision.
Yeah,
you're right. You know what I mean? Because and I thought this. I might be wrong because this was never confirmed or anything. This was just me. When Acolyte had like the biggest damn budget ever, right? I was pretty confident that, and when we saw the show, we were like, this doesn't feel like a show that needed all that budget. I genuinely think it wasn't like they just developed some sort of new hardware or software or bought a company along the lines of something that was important for filming this show or for developing or getting a software for AI to do something with the landscapes, everything that is involved with production. And then they just added that cost on top of the budget of the show. You know what I mean? So basically, this is what we do. And at the same time, we sort of invest in stuff. Companies do this all the time, even in construction companies, right? So our family business is in construction. If I really need a certain type of huge tower crane, right, for this specific project, I'm going to try to make sure that this project, because it's so big and needs me to buy an entire tower crane, that I can try to spread out the cost of that tower crane on this project. So basically, at the end of it, I'm still going to have to maintain it because it's done a lot of work, but I get a whole tower crane out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and make sure that this project pays for it. That's not fair to the project, by the way, if we do that, because this tower crane should be spread out over the course of like the coming 10, 15 years, over 2, 3, 4 projects, that sort of thing. Yeah. So that was a bit of a long rant about that, but just I think that content creation for games, and every now and then these statements, I'm trying to be careful here to really, really like I'm liking everything that's coming out right now. I know we're coming off of the back of Kathy Kennedy leaving and Dave Filoni being co-CEO with can't remember his name right now, but yes, he
Oh, it's
I'm very just
Brennan. Her name's Brennan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, her name is Brenda. Thank you. So yeah, I'm just very excited, and everything coming out seems to be coming out slow, just coming out hot.
Yeah.
Hot as in it's good. It's good. It's making me excited.
One of the other things too he was talking about was, I remember when this game was first announced, I don't even know where it came from, but everybody started talking about how it's not going to release until 2030. And I was like, oh man, because we, and in their defense, Eclipse got announced how long ago, and we haven't seen a thing on it since. So one of the other things he came out and talked about was how where is it? I want to get his exact quote. He says, making games that take 5 or 7 years, none of us want to do that. And then he said that he's never taken more than 4 years to finish a game. So that means, we should be getting it here. They announced this last year, right? Or was it this year? Was it this year or last year they announced it? I don't remember. I don't remember when they actually came out and said, hey, this is coming. Maybe it was this year. But anyway, so I don't see, the thing is, even if it says it takes 4 years, that's still 2030. Like, that's still 2030. But anyway, we'll see the game here before long, I'm sure. Earlier you were talking about there was another AAA game, Racer, coming out. There's another one too we forgot to mention, and it's Zero Company. We forgot to mention Zero Company is coming out this year also. So we get 2 AAA games this year. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, Fate of the Old Republic, no release date on it just yet. Probably won't be for quite a while, but really looking forward to this one. I'm hoping beyond hope that they release this remake for KOTOR 1 and 2. Yeah. Sorry, my voice cracked there for a second. KOTOR 1 or 2, the remakes of them, and then this comes out, because I don't want to get excited about this and go play KOTOR on my 360, and then they're like, oh, here's the remake, and I just came off of it, and I need some breathing room, and I'm like, oh crap, all right, let's just start all over and do it again. And so, don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but
No, it's a great game, and I can't wait to play the remake.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm hoping that the remakes come out, and I'm kind of hoping that when the remakes come out, they say, okay, look, these are official canon now. This game they're leading up to this, and maybe they'll have some kind of tease at the end of KOTOR 2 for this one. I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know. That's just me speculating. That's just wishful thinking. I'm making an educated wish right now, if in the words of Deadpool. So. But yeah, Fate of the Old Republic, not going to use AI, won't take forever to complete. Sometimes people just want to finish a game, So, that's part of the reason, so I know that you and I are both Assassin's Creed guys.
Absolutely.
And how long did it take you to Platinum Odyssey?
A long time. I loved Odyssey. It took me such a long time that what's the word? I took a break in the middle.
Yeah.
So I planned it, and I got the DLCs and everything. But I am a completionist. But I love ancient. I love history. I love ancient history. I love Greek history, like the Hoplite era or the Bronze Age. I love that era so much. So it was nuts how long I was spending on that thing, doing nothing but just exploring, feeling like I was accomplishing a lot. Yeah. Not like other games where you're just going round and round and round, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I didn't even do anything this whole session. No, I felt like I did a lot.
Yeah.
So it took me, I genuinely think it took me like 6 months, including a month break in the middle. And
but see, the thing is, though,
my time, but this was alongside work. It wasn't like I was on holiday or something. Like we were working at that. We were grown ups then, having income and stuff. Yeah.
But you still finished it. That's the thing.
Oh yeah,
I have never finished Odyssey,
including DLCs.
I have never finished Odyssey. I haven't even. Oh, I played maybe one.
You did Origins. You played.
I did Origins. I platinumed Origins in 2 weeks. Yeah. I could not stop. I love Origins. See, the way you feel about Greek stuff is how I feel about Egyptian stuff. I love ancient Egypt.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't like Egyptian stuff. I'm just saying that I love Greek stuff.
But dude, when they said that game, I platinumed that game in like 2 weeks. And then I turned around and started playing it again. And like I could not stop. It was so good. Anyway, but we want to finish games. That's the thing. We want a game that does have an ending point and a light at the end of the tunnel. So this game will have it. I'm excited to play this one. So
we got to bring up something that we talked about a month ago.
Okay.
So I want them to do this thing, which I've only ever seen done once. It's been done with Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yote.
Oh yeah.
When you platinum a game,
you get merch.
So those two games, Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yote, which are PlayStation exclusive, right?
Yes.
These are amazing games. Samurai games.
I've only played Tsushima so far.
They are works of art. Seriously, they are quite literally works of art. Even the voice acting, even the scripts, even the landscapes behind it, the music, the views, the controls, the swishes of the sword, the choreography, everything down to the minutest detail is absolutely brilliant. The game doesn't try to do too much. It's fantastic. Yeah. What happens is that, what happened end of last year, I got an email saying your reward for getting platinum on Ghost of Tsushima is here, and if you buy it, make sure that if you're playing, Ghost of Yote, make sure to also aspire for its reward. I'm like, huh? So this is just trophies, right? And I open it up. It's a website to a specific page in the store not for Sucker Punch, the game development company that made them. It's on the PlayStation Store, where you log in with your PlayStation ID. It checks the trophies that you got, and then it gives you a time limit, like order this before May, and it says you can't order it unless you get the platinum trophy. And you've got like choices of pins, t-shirt, and a hoodie. You cannot buy those unless you've platinumed the trophy.
I love that.
I love that.
I love that so much.
Firstly, they should have. I mean, you should clearly give me the hoodie for free. I don't have to buy it again, do I? But yes, you gotta buy it again because that's not how life works, right. Usef. So,
it's not that you get the hoodie; it's that you get access to being able to purchase the hoodie that nobody else is able to.
Exactly. You get to give us money for this.
Which makes sense because everybody could platinum a game, and then they'd have to give out like hundreds of thousands of hoodies. You know what I mean? So I get having the access to just buying it. I get that.
No, but yeah, the whole concept. And I didn't get the T-shirt, for example, because the T-shirt was like just really, really drab. I didn't love it. But there's like these pins because Ghost of Yote has this thing about like masks, like the Japanese mask culture in war, the war masks that they wear. So they give you like these. You buy, don't give you anything. You buy these pins that you can hang up. There are these masks, and I bought the hoodie, which looks really cool. It's so cool that you get this access to this kind of stuff. I want special edition stuff because then if I'm walking around Celebration and I've platinumed, for example, right? Like this is not going to happen because the game's not coming out. But let's say this KOTOR game or this Old Republic game, Fate of the Old Republic, and Brian and I, we would basically finish the whole game. We would get the platinum trophy, and then we don't know each other. We're in Celebration, and we've each got the hat on, for example, which has that, and we look at each other like platinum. There you go.
Yeah.
What was your favorite bit? This and that, this and that. It's just this sort of thing. It's so cool. It's absolutely fantastic. And if I'm, I don't know, driving by and there was a gas station or something and I'm filling it up and I see somebody else with the same hoodie, I'm like, Yote. Yeah, absolutely. Did you get that?
It's something you guys got in common. Yeah, it's a good conversation starter. I completely agree. I didn't even know that was a thing until Usef brought this up to me and was like, dude, you're playing Ghost of Tsushima. Check this out. And so I was like, why are they not doing this for every game? This should be the norm. I love that they do that. And it's not like they're out anything. They're just selling merch. You know, it's not like they're out
even in limited quantities.
Yeah. And so it's not like they're out anything. All you got to do is put a special page on your website you can only access if you have, these certain I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool because awesome. Like you, I'm a completionist when it comes to video games. I go for that platinum. I've platinumed
and also
almost every Assassin's Creed game.
You would not be a completionist for any game if you weren't a fan of the experience that you're going through, right?
Exactly.
And this just completes the experience of you being a fan. Am I right?
Yep, exactly. And so, and it's that tangible reward, that you can show off that I did something, especially for a big game like the Ghost games. Those are huge games. And so I think it'd be cool to have something like that. Yeah, I completely agree with you. That is something, especially for Star Wars. I'm surprised that Star Wars has not followed that model yet. I think it's a great model. I think that's so cool. It gives you that extra little reward. Not only do you get the platinum, but you get something tangible, you know? Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I'm talking myself up here. Throat's getting scratchy. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I can't wait for this game to come out. Hopefully they'll implement something like that later on down the road with every game. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited for Fate of the Old Republic? I'm sure everybody is. I think that was pretty much a big deal when they announced that. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Cannot wait. Good Lord. Sorry. I cannot get this cough to go away. Let's move on. Premiere for Mando and Grogu was last night or night before?
Yes. Thursday, right?
Thursday, I think it was, yeah. And reactions are starting to come out for this movie, yeah. And it's kind of a mixed bag from what I'm seeing. Now, first off, full disclosure, okay? I'm gonna try to do this very objectively and not subjectively because you guys know how I am with this movie. I'm like, it's just gonna be season 4 of the show. It's just gonna be condensed. You know, it's gonna be a TV movie. That's what I've said this whole time. That's why I'm not like super hyped for it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm gonna go see it this weekend. I am going to, or next weekend. However, the first reactions are starting to come out from content creators and reviewers and everything like that. I thought we would read a few of them. I thought that'd be kind of fun, Usef. And kind of go through it. And we'll start with some of the positive ones. Again, I'm on StarWarsNewsNet.com. I don't know. I'm going to butcher these names. You guys know I'm no good with names. But this is a tweet from Peter Scaretta, I think is how you say his name. I don't know. I feel like I should know that name. The Mandalorian and Grogu. The marketing had me worried, but this movie is actually a lot of fun. Yes, it does feel like a supersized, high-budget few episodes of the TV show. More of an adventure of the week than a huge galactic event story. If you like the show, you'll love this. Interesting. That's what I was that's honestly what I was expecting out of this movie.
And that sounds like a comprehensive, well-rounded sort of description of what the movie is. But that doesn't
good and bad.
That doesn't surprise me. Doesn't upset me either. I'm not like
This one says Star Wars is back on the big screen, and The Mandalorian and Grogu is a thrilling adventure full of big fights, gnarly creatures, and plenty of adorable Grogu moments. It's less about the lore and more a fun, freaky romp across the galaxy. I really dug that about it. Is what it says.
Cool. Yeah.
Moving on, here's another one. The Mandalorian and Grogu is thankfully a Star Wars adventure worthy of the big screen that offers plenty of galactic fun for the whole family. Favreau rightfully chooses to take this IP back to its Eastwood-esque space western roots as he effectively expands this world instead. Here's another one. Mandalorian and Grogu is a grin-inducing crowd pleaser that puts Star Wars back on theatrical track. Director Jon Favreau is, again, a safe pair of hands that deliver a solid, thrilling, and engaging romp. A solid popcorn movie that is the summer blockbuster you're looking for. This is the one. Okay, so here's the thing. I like this tweet. You guys know how my excitement is for this movie. I like seeing tweets like this. This is what's cool. This one says, I don't even like Star Wars, but that was a really good movie. My almost 11-year-old's excited initial declaration as the end credits rolled for Mando and Grogu. An 11-year-old said that. I don't even like Star Wars, but that was a really good movie. So that to me, that's what it's about.
I kind of half. I'm not supposed to listen to this guy because he doesn't like Star Wars. Therefore, like immediately.
No, that's what his kid said. That was his kid's quote.
Kidding. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. No, that sounds great. Exactly. That is the reaction you want.
Yeah, out of kids.
Exactly
Yeah.
The reaction you want. Yeah, exactly.
So these are some of the not so nice tweets about it. You know, not kind of a little lackluster. And I read through some of these, and I'm like, see, this is what I'm expecting out of it. It says, The Mandalorian and Grogu is as expected, a longer, bigger episode of the show. It has one or two standout scenes, but it feels much more interested in developing the story to new locations with new creatures than the characters. Enjoyed some of it, left frustrated with the rest. This one says, The Mandalorian and Grogu was a big-scale movie that tries to be an introduction to Star Wars and the series, but given that it was supposed to be a movie, It felt like a long Disney Plus TV movie. Loved the low stakes feel, but wished there was more story deserving of the big screen. Then there was this one. This is somebody who really did not like it. Mandalorian and Grogu. Finally, they made a Star War for me to despise. Some cute moments can't save it from feeling terminally dull and offensively inoffensive. Feels like marathoning the blandest episodes of the show that are also totally inessential. A waste of time and potential. This one says, The Mandalorian and Grogu is fine. An inoffensive, technically impressive spectacle that's kind of a snooze fest. Very much structured like an abridged season of the TV show, which unfortunately plays like watching the cutscenes of a Star Wars video game instead of playing one.
This is pretty much along the lines of your take.
Then that's kind of what I've been expecting out of it. And I'm telling you, man, I don't care what Jon Favreau says. I don't care what Dave Filoni says. This movie was season 4 of the show. I'm going to die on that hill. Maybe I'll see it and I'll be in the camp with the people that liked it and be like, oh no, that wasn't a series. A season. Maybe that's what'll happen. But right now, I'm going to die on this hill that this is season 4 of Mando.
So I like that. Firstly, I like that you chose comments that were like on both ends, and you got both ends of the spectrum as well.
Yeah,
like extremely good,
I said I was going to be objective about it.
Sort of unhappy.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, you're right, and thank you for doing that. But so firstly, I'm not. This doesn't shock me, not only because it's split reactions, so everybody has split reactions. No, but because Mandalorian, everything we've seen about it right now is intimate. It takes its time.
Yeah.
Weekly storytelling. So you get to see Mando's reactions. Remember how slow of a burn that first season was?
Yeah.
And so some people didn't even survive that season. But seriously, and then when season 2 and 3 picked up a lot, and 3 was fantastic. So they went back in and were like, okay, see, really, I gotta live through season 1 and then pick it up in season 2. So anyway, my point is translating this experience into a film is difficult.
Yeah.
And even if it's not season 4 compressed into a film, even if it's just this story has always been told, of these characters in weekly storytelling in this format, then taking that and turning it into a film without major high stakes that feel large and feel like it has a threatening villain you've been building up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see, this is the worrying point. So obviously, I'm not going to go into this much deeper. When we see it, we'll come back here and we'll talk about it for hours.
Sure, absolutely.
But a Star Wars movie. So this is the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time in a long time that we're seeing a Star Wars movie, but it's also the first time that we're ever seeing a Star Wars on the big screen that is just there to feel fun and not necessarily there to feel important. So Han Solo, the Solo.
Yeah, I was
going to
bring up Solo.
Reminds me of that. But the reason why that is sort of important is because it's the backstory to such a brilliant character, and it's sort of like building up to. I'm not like the point of the film itself isn't consequential, but the reason why the film is there and why you're watching it is because it supplements and complements the rest of the consequential main story that we all know and love. So, but this is the next step in a story that we're all enthralled by and was brilliant. But we've already had a climax to that story. So what is the point of this movie? It's just some adventure, brilliant fun for two characters that you love. And I'm not upset by that. This is what I always thought. I know there's no huge big bad that they're going to tackle. Oh, there's something they forgot, or something that's like they're left on a cliffhanger in a certain episode, that this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. I agree. I think this is just a kind of a continuation because, like you said, season 3 of Mando ended with them kind of on Navarro, just kind of retiring, and Din Djarin was kicking his feet up, and Grogu was eating all the space macaroons he could get his hands on. Like that was kind of the end of it, right? And then so this is just a continuation of just that, or maybe this is just the next chapter in their lives together, right? As like a father and son kind of, duo. Exactly. And so, like I said, I haven't seen the movie yet. I could be completely dead wrong on that. Maybe, it's going to flow very naturally from the series. I don't know that. So, I'm thinking next week.
Praise JG for not spilling beans or saying anything, because he's seen the first hour reveal of that.
I won't say anything. I won't tell you what he told me, but he did kind of tell me a little bit about how it opens.
Okay, This is new information.
whether there's like opening crawl or how they handle like the opening part of it and everything. Because I was curious. I was like, you're not gonna ruin it for me. I just want to know. And so he kind of laid it out for me, and he's like, I really think you and Nick are really gonna like it. It's right up your guys' alley. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I'll give it a shot. And from what he told me, I think he's right. I think, yeah, that sounds great to me. It's different, and I love it, and I love the way it sounds. So we'll see. Are you going to go see it next weekend?
Yes, definitely. Just as soon as we make sure that we got to make sure which theater it's on.
Right.
Got to make sure it's all good. There was this weird fact for all you guys out there. For some reason, a lot of the times when there was a big movie release in Egypt, we get all of our new films out on Wednesdays. I have no idea why. When The Last Jedi came out, I saw it before any of you. I saw it on Wednesday. It was released here, but when it was released for you guys on a Friday. So I'm like 2 days before you guys saw it. I saw it. I'm like, how? Shouldn't it first release earlier there? Like, well, apparently it's just a marketing thing. It's been available for a few days.
That's so wild.
By Disney and Lucasfilm.
I'm going to start coming to Egypt for every Star Wars release.
So I'm hoping it's still going to get released on this Wednesday. If yes, then try, like as soon as I book the ticket in advance, I'm definitely showing you. And I've got like 2 friends who are like swearing like, Usef, when you book us tickets. Doesn't matter if you got work or got anything. We're coming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you do, let me know, because if you're able to go see it, I'm probably going to have to wait until like Friday night to go see it. So we may end up recording the podcast next week on Saturday morning again for me, if that's
so that we can
talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
If that's cool with you, because I know the time difference is a lot different.
No, it's good because the week after is Eid holiday, so I got a whole week off the week after.
Right on. We usually record on Thursdays, but I don't want to record the day before we go see it, and then the episode come out after we've seen it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather talk about it next week. So next week, I guess we'll be talking about Mando and Grogu. We'll see. We'll see what our reactions to it are. And we'll see if I'm right. We'll see if it's a TV Disney Hallmark movie. That's what I'm telling you. I just got this gut feeling. And then seeing some people say that, I'm like, oh man. But you know what? I did see a TikTok yesterday that kind of summed it up in a way that I can't disagree with. If you don't think you're going to like Mando and Grogu, you're probably right. And if you think you're going to like it, you're probably right. Like, you know, whatever you go in, the mentality you go in with is probably going to be what you end up walking out with. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Moving on, we're already at the hour mark, man. Moving on, a new comic book coming out this August by Charles Soule. I love Charles Soule. He is one of the greatest comic writers, I swear. And he's doing a 5-issue miniseries called The Fall of Kylo Ren. Apparently takes place between episodes 8 and 9 and will lead into him looking for the Emperor in episode 9, which excites me. I think my kid's being loud upstairs, which excites me because I want to see the canon version of this mysterious message of the dead speak. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we kind of got it a little bit in Fortnite. Remember when they did that Fortnite Star Wars event for Rise of Skywalker? And there's a mission you do in Fortnite, or you could do, and then like at the end you heard the broadcast. Like they actually had the broadcast from the Emperor play, and then that you could go listen to it. It's on YouTube. You can go listen to what the broadcast was.
That's pretty cool.
But was that canon? Because it's Fortnite. I don't think that's canon. Anyway, but I'd like to see that, and I want to see his reaction to it. And I want to see maybe the galaxy's reaction to, oh crap, that douchebag is still alive. You know, so I don't know. That's coming out in August. I don't think we have a release date on it just yet. But it is going to basically be a sequel series to Legacy of Vader, for those of you that read that. I'm
glad that's happening,
really
and
cool
August
series
as well, because I'm hoping to be in the UK by the end of August, early September. I got stuff that I need to do there, and there's a show I'm hoping to go take my wife to. And I hope to buy them while I'm there, or I'll order them online and get them there. I really want to see more of Kylo Ren, and I do think, unfortunately, just the way 7, 8, 9 panned out, that Kylo Ren, he works better in expanded material now, basically. Because I just really want to see more of him, because I was really excited for Kylo Ren at the end of 8, by watching him in 7, and then by the end of 8, I was like, yeah, give me some more of that. So I want some Kylo Ren.
So this next thing we were going to talk about, real quick though, with the Kylo Ren thing, you're absolutely right. I feel like they really fumbled him with the films. Anything that he's been in,
Hux.
And oh god, don't get me started on him. But with Kylo, everything that's come out with him since, like you said, all the expanded universe stuff has been great. It's been awesome stuff. Especially the rise of Kylo Ren, which is like when he actually leaves, stops being Ben Solo and becomes Kylo Ren, and he cracks his crystal and all that. That's so cool. That's so cool. But anyway, but yeah, no, I'm excited for this comic. It's going to be a 5-issue run. Starts in August. It'll probably be wrapping up around holiday. And we'll see how it pans out. I'm kind of excited for it. And honestly, the comics, I haven't been super excited about a lot of the comics lately. But this one's getting me a little hyped up. Sorry, I had to text my wife because my son is being very loud upstairs right now.
No worries.
But anyway, yeah, I'm super excited.
But I am excited also about that other angle of seeing Palpatine, see what's going on, what's the canon story there, because it's not super well explained in the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker, is it?
Not really, no. The closest thing we get to that story of like why you talking about like why he turned?
No, of Darth Sidious and how he came to.
Oh yeah, we don't get a lot of that. No.
Exactly. And
well, okay. So let me take that back, because was it the novelization for Rise of Skywalker? I think's what it was. It talks about him throwing his consciousness at the moment of death across the galaxy to another body. But it didn't. But it didn't really
that he had these
go on a
bodies
whole
and
lot.
where they were and all that stuff. Yeah, like the actual details of that. So hopefully there's going to be more details of that and how Kylo Ren learns about where Darth Sidious is, or Emperor Palpatine,
Right.
Where he is, how he gets there. This whole thing about the Sith Holocron in the first place, how he gets there, why he's looking for it. Where is he after he loses to Luke? How does he feel when he sees, the fact that Luke is just a Force ghost, and at the end of the day, he's just been
Right.
schooled yet again by his old master, sort of thing. I want to see some more reaction to that. I want to see that Ben Solo Kylo Ren confliction.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. So yeah, no, I agree with the Kylo Ren thing. Looking forward to that comic. That's all I'm going to say. I'm super, super excited to see what they bring to that. Moving on. This is a big topic too that I really wanted to talk about before we get into the villain bracket. Dave Filoni has come out and has discussed with Collider the future of Star Wars on film. Really excited about this because we were just talking about this earlier this episode about you were asking how much Star Wars we want to come out and how fast. It says, this article says, speaking to Collider at the premiere of The Mandalorian and Grogu, Dave Filoni said he won't commit to a specific quota of Star Wars movies and shows per year, and instead says that the company will prioritize getting each story right above all else. I didn't read that before I said that a while ago. I did. I swear I didn't. And his actual quote is, "For me right now, rather than dealing with hard numbers like that, I'm just looking at the stories and the potential and planning what I'd like to do. I believe in having an overarching idea and then saying, okay, it's this many of that, and then we can have that. There are certain things that have been in motion already that obviously I want to continue. John and I have had a great partnership for many years now, telling stories. So I look at the stories that I'm kind of planning and architecting, and I look at other creative talents that bring us also great stories, and I just try to find a way to make them all work." That's awesome.
It sounds like he wants every film and every content release to feel like event-like, you know what I mean? To feel like it's an event. It's a main event we're coming to. It's a main event we're releasing, rather than just a bunch of projects that we happen to be working on.
Right.
Like he's really, it sounds brilliant. This is what a leader says, to be honest with you, period. This is a person who's not going to be too slow in taking his time. But this is a person who is creative enough and cares enough. He just literally is talking about Star Wars, that it's not just lore. And you know what? So here's the thing. For somebody who really cares a lot about this project, if you're really passionate about what you believe in, you're not going to just take it for what it is. What you're going to try to do is make it even bigger. What you're going to try to do is make sure that it takes on a larger form. You're going to try to make sure it evolves. I don't think that Star Wars is just lore anymore. You know what I mean? I think Star Wars has its own mythology. It has its own legacy characters. It has its own history within. It has its own eras. It has its own sort of a long form, a short form. It has a different ways you can tell the story. There's different characters. There has to be something for everyone in Star Wars. I haven't found my super niche yet, which is deep within the villains and the bloody stuff sort of thing. Not because I want to see people or characters just get ripped apart, because there is that in Star Wars, but because I want to see different philosophies being shown, and sort of like the whole confliction of characters and why they fall. The fall of Anakin into Darth Vader is huge. And then now, when we're looking at sort of the new content coming out, new games, new films, new stories entirely. So, okay, I mean, Cal Kestis worked out great so far.
Mm-hmm.
2 games and a third one on the way.
Right.
So if Dave Filoni is coming out here saying basically, well, listen, I'm just trying to emphasize that, we have a focus on the fact that we need to work on projects, give them their dues, make sure that the project is fully developed, and then release it. He's committing to quality. He's committing to storytelling. That's amazing. Yeah. Down, like hands down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That is the one huge message I'm getting there. And I'm trying to read between the lines and trying to go in a little bit deeper here and say, listen, Star Wars has its own mythology, has its own genre sort of thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into it and saying its own genre. I'm not trying to sort of exaggerate here, but I am thinking that Filoni feels this way. I am thinking that Filoni is super passionate about Star Wars, and he wants to develop it even massively, majorly, hugely sort of thing. And that he is immersed in this way too much for anybody's own good, but he is fantastic and he loves it. And he's going to hopefully treat this like his baby, creatively speaking.
Yep. Yeah. I completely agree. This is what I wanted to hear. Honestly, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. I mean, he gets Star Wars, and I don't care what anybody says. He gets Star Wars, and he's proven that. And that gallery episode is a great. I keep going back to that, but when you go back to that gallery episode where he's talking about the Duel of the Fates, he gets Star Wars, and honestly, the people that are poo-pooing on Dave Filoni are the ones that are like, we want George back. You realize that he learned everything he knows from George, right? Like, he's the one. You want George back, who approved a tube top for a 14-year-old? George Lucas approved a tube top for a 14-year-old. You really want him back right now? And so I don't understand how everybody's like, well, I don't want Dave Filoni. Why? Who else? You put up another option. You put up who you want in charge of Star Wars other than George Lucas. You tell me somebody other than George Lucas, because guess what? The man's not going to live forever. He's not going to live forever. And the day the maker dies, I'm going to cry. I am, but anyway, I'm really happy about this. And I swear I didn't read this before I said that earlier, about wanting him to just drop them whenever they're ready. That's really good to hear. Honestly, that makes me happy. So, I'm excited for this. I really am. I'm excited for the future of Star Wars. It's going to be a couple of years before we really get into like Filoni's and Brennan's kind of era. We've got to get, all these other things out. Starfighter is going to probably be the last thing that comes out that Kennedy had any of her fingers in. For those of you that don't like Kathy Kennedy, I think Starfighter will kind of be the definitive end of the Kathy Kennedy era. You know what I mean? And everything moving forward past that is going to be, unless they do this weird Rey movie, which I doubt, or, any of those other films that they've never really done, even though they announced them, like, what was it now, 6 years ago? No, 3 years ago. They announced them 3 years ago. So, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a couple years for Filoni's fingerprint really starts to show up on everything, but I'm excited for it. I think it'll be great.
Sounds awesome.
Let's get into the villain bracket. We did the villain bracket last week without you, Usef, and it did not feel right. It felt, I appreciate it. It felt very unnatural.
Please, the show must go on.
No, I know. But it felt very unnatural not doing the villain bracket last week, especially because of the names that got picked for this week.
I know.
And I was like, because JG was like, why isn't Usef with us right now? Of course, these are the two names that would come out. So last week on the villain bracket, we had Sidious and Bane were the two that we were putting up against each other. And you know me. I know you're a Sidious guy. I know you are.
Absolutely.
I'm a Bane guy. I love Darth Bane. I voted Darth Bane, but my boy lost. I'm sorry. Sidious won that one. But it wasn't a landslide, though. It was pretty close.
No, it wasn't a landslide. And also, I do think the reason why Bane lost in the first place is just because a lot of people don't know enough about Bane.
Possibly.
Just because Sidious is in the movies and he's clearly more visible.
Yes.
That's it. But I did vote Sidious, obviously.
I know.
But Sidious, no, I do. Obviously, Darth Bane is fantastic and very cool. And I have not interacted enough with Darth Bane content. And Sidious is just brilliant. I just love that evil, twisted, brilliant, amazing mind. Like the first book, I was very happy to find Lords of the Sith.
That's a great book.
First Star Wars novel that I read.
That's a
So
great
it's right
book.
here.
Yes.
Yeah. Lords of the Sith is so cool. And what was coolest about Lords of the Sith while I was reading it was, so it's being told primarily through Darth Vader's perspective.
Right.
But so he keeps looking at Sidious along the way, and they're like walking on this strange planet trying to, because they just crashed in there and they're just going to try. Sidious is just looking at Vader most of the time with this weird ass innocent smile. He's just like following him basically. And that's super weird. And Vader obviously realizes
super weird.
He's like, yeah, you're obviously like testing me, just seeing what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
So he just goes on, he goes forward. Then Sidious tears apart a certain alien sort of creeping up on them, and he's just like, yeah, I don't need stuff getting in your way. Let's just go. And Sidious shows him at the end that he like goes to these natives, and they're quite a primitive people. They're humanoid like, but they're quite short and like colored and stuff, like blue colored, I think it was. I can't remember, but anyway, so like they're living out in the woods and they make fires and stuff. By the end of the book, and when they leave, they've built a statue for Sidious because they've just thought of him as this sort of like prophet who's given them amazing wisdom and just told them how to govern themselves all over again, stuff like that. This guy's so smart and twisted and brilliant and controlling. He could make a primitive people think that he's like this godlike figure who just came for a visit, sort of thing. It's just so weird. And the book shares a little bit, the novel like tells the story of what he sort of says. And Vader's just looking at him like, what is he wasting his time with? And then all of a sudden he notices by the end of it, wow, okay, didn't expect that. And then I'm not entirely sure Vader learns this lesson, but yeah, it's just amazing. Sorry, that was a huge
you're
thing.
good.
It's just, it's brilliant.
My favorite moment in that book was Sidious. It's a Sidious moment. I love it. Him and Vader are back to back, and they're fighting all these creatures off with their lightsabers. The royal guards are kind of off on their own fighting, kind of getting their butts kicked. And Vader and Palpatine get separated at one point, and Vader's killing all these creatures, and he looks down into this pit, and he sees all these creatures pig pile on top of Palpatine. And he hesitates. He stops for a second, and he's like, this could be the end of all my problems. Like, he's like, this could honestly. And so he ends up still going down and helping Palpatine and going back to back. And I remember they're still fighting, and Palpatine's like, did you think about letting me die? And Vader like hesitates, but he tells him that she's like, yes, master. And Palpatine's like, good. Like, I can just hear it. It was such an awesome moment in that book. I love that. That's my favorite part of that book. That, and then when Vader gets onto the Twi'lek ship, he like bails out of his TIE fighter and he like cuts his way.
Yeah, he's bailing out his TIE fighter. He lands onto the other
crap.
ship mid-air while they're penetrating into the atmosphere, while they're going,
Force
he just lands
choking
on
people
the
in
other
other
ship.
ships. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. It was amazing. That was an awesome freaking. And then when you hear from the cockpit's
Vader
point of
Van
view,
Damme, Jean-Claude Van Vader.
oh my god. Or if not from the cockpit, from the bridges, they hear all the.
Yes.
They hear, I'm coming for you. It just cuts off and like, oh my gosh. Like, I love that book. Lords of the Sith is such a good book. But I like my Darth Bane better. Just saying. It's still sitting here. I still have it sitting here. I love that book so much. Such a good book. But yeah, no, Sidious was the winner last week, and we are going to find out who the winner is this week. We've got 4 more names that we're going to go pick out real quick. We're going to pick out 2 names, but we're going to go through them, and we're going to see who our 2 for this week are. I kind of got an idea on who I want the 2 to be, because I know which 2 would go really up against each other really well, but I guess we'll see. So here we go. Let's get our first name for the week. Is it going to? Nope. Darth Revan is going to be our first one this week. And then as soon as that one gets removed, we'll hit it again and we'll find out who he's going up against. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. All right. So Darth Revan and Chimere are our two for this week. Usef, I don't know how to, I know, I already obviously know who I'm voting for. But who are you going to vote for between these two and why?
So, okay. So first things first, they're from completely different eras.
Completely different.
Completely different eras. Darth Revan, by the way, he's still primarily Legends. He's not full canon, right? I mean, we were just talking about canon.
He's been mentioned in canon, but he's not. His story's not canon. Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to make sure. But we are gonna take his aura and everything that he came with. So, all right.
Yes.
So this ancient mythic aura of Darth Revan, you know what I mean? Versus a sort of Chimera is much more modern, but he is a seductive and a menace.
Yes.
You know, when he showed up in an Acolyte, he was pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is that the philosophy of Darth Revan is going to be super cool because it's very, he's just very heavy. He's just so brilliant. Chimera is like he's terrifying. So what I know of Darth Revan, and you're gonna have to tweak, correct me if I'm wrong here. He's got this super cool design. He was in KOTOR, obviously.
Yes.
And he does have a sort of a fallen hero arc. He's a tactical genius. He is a huge, massive influence on Star Wars culture because there wasn't a lot of other Star Wars characters you could sort of go to for these sorts of stories. So he was just brilliant, and he's got his own comic book runs, right? He's got his own.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
He's got his own novel. I know that.
He's got his own novel. Okay. Chimere, or Chimere, whatever you say his name. I'm sorry, but yeah. So he's seeing him on screen. He was brilliant. He was terrifying in combat. He is emotionally manipulative. The way he sort of seduces and brings over his disciple into his fold. He's got this sort of really creepy charisma from what I remember of him. I haven't watched Acolyte in a while.
Doesn't say a whole
lot. But
he
does have, yeah. But he does have Sith energy. He does have a fresh villain presence sort of thing. And the whole stranger reveal sort of thing was pretty cool. His helmet was cool. His lightsaber fighting was cool. His live action presence was brilliant. Physically brutal sort of thing. I think, I mean, if I had to push so again, like you guys know what the villain bracket is by now. It's all about aura, coolness, charisma, sort of thing.
Right.
Not necessarily who would win in a fight, but it's about how you sort of interpret everything that this character pushes forward and how they carry themselves and the aura behind who they are and their message, whatever it is that really identifies him as a cool villain for you in your mind, and what it takes to beat such a cool villain as well might be part of your equation here. I would think I'd be voting for Revan because Chimere, the way we saw him in the film. Yeah, you're right. We don't see a whole lot, but to be honest, I think that there's another reason for that. There might not be a whole lot to see because he didn't seem like a guy with a lot of wingspan to spread when he would, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas Revan, he's epic. He's just epic. Like the way he is, the story behind him, how involved he was as a Jedi and his training and his philosophy to then become sort of like within the Sith and dark side. Guys, if you haven't played KOTOR, at least understand what the story is. It's just brilliant. We may decide to do this sort of storytelling episode later, like where Brian and I or JG or Nick or Steven or Richard J, where we just decide to like have like 5-minute video just telling you, listen, this is the story of KOTOR. This is what you need to know. But yeah, you need to know the story of KOTOR because Revan is cool.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm voting Revan all the way. Chimere was cool for Acolyte. Honestly, he was the best part of the Acolyte in my opinion. And
absolutely.
And so him and Jecki, I think were my two. Those two.
Was cool.
Jecki was awesome.
Soul was cool.
Yeah.
Soul was cool.
Oh yeah, Soul was cool. But Jecki, when her and Chimere started going at it, I was like, holy crap. I mean, that was a BA fight. I'm just saying. Until he turned her into a 3-hole punch. That was a great fight. I love Chimere as a character. And the fact that here's the thing that people I don't think realize about Chimere. Was he, and I don't know if did they even mention in the Acolyte? I need to go back and watch it again. Maybe they did. Was Chimere the master or was he the apprentice?
So it's not mentioned. I remember this because I had this question for you guys when we had that sneak peek of Darth Plagueis.
Right. Was Plagueis
When- yeah.
Chimere's apprentice or was he the master?
I thought that Chimere was Pelagius's apprentice.
That's what I thought.
Trying to go rogue on his own, and that's why he was sort of getting his own disciples going, and that's why
Right.
Pelagius was like just looking, staring out there. That's what I thought. But you know what needs to, what I should be doing right now, and probably, hopefully, what I'll be doing next week during my week off, is reading the Darth Plagueis novel.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not canon, it's Legends still.
Legends.
Right?
Yes.
It's not canon.
Legends.
Yeah, but still. So this is probably the major Legends novel that I will be reading. Even though I have read some of Darth Vader's run before, and there's some other Legend stuff in there about Vader and about Luke that I have actually read. But this is going to be the I've read all those online. The proper novel that I will buy. This is the first proper Legends novel that I've bought that I'm going to read. So just because it's Darth Plagueis. So hopefully, if that has a linked answer, I can sort of consider that as in kind of like the KOTOR thing we were talking about, where there's like, this is canon. Well,
Right.
then the first one was canon. Let's
Right.
just focus on this being canon. Yeah, so maybe this might be that kind of thing. So I'll see. I'll take a look and I'll read that and I'll tell you what I think later.
That's actually a great idea, considering now we know which two are going to be going up against each other next week on the villain bracket,
yeah.
Vader and Plagueis. So that'd be a good way to prepare for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm voting Revan all the way on this one. It's Chimere was cool, but it's not even close. Darth Revan is by far gonna.
If anybody really votes Chimere because basically that's who they see, that's who they know, and that's what they see on screen, that makes sense, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, you just try to know what Revan's about, and you'll see exactly what Brian and I are on about.
Oh, Revan's so cool. So go vote on our villain bracket. You guys are the ones that get to decide the results of this. Go check out our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and if you're listening on Spotify, scroll on down. The poll is right there for you to see too. Man, my throat's getting wrecked right now. So go vote. We'll reveal the winner on next week's episode. Good Lord.
And I believe, Mr. Miller, it's time for some mailbag questions.
Mailbag questions. How do you guys get a question on the Star Wars Canon Podcast? It's on this little ticker bar down here. You can see right there. StarWarsCanon.net/mailbag is the new place you go to turn in a question for the Canon Podcast. Not only can you send in questions, you can send in comments on the website or questions about other things or, whatever you want to tell us, whatever. If you want a question on the podcast, let us know.
We'd love to know where you're messaging us from. As you can
Yes.
see, we're all over the place.
Yes.
I believe the closest two people who are actually location-wise close to each other are JG and Steven. They live in the same state. That's about it. Everybody else is somewhere else. Yeah, there's at least 100 or 200 miles.
I think the
minimum
next
between
closest two are me and Nick.
closest.
Because I
Yeah,
think we're,
exactly.
well, how close are you to Richard?
I'm not sure by distance. I can Google that. Right
Okay,
now.
no, I
mean,
wasn't worried
he's in
about it.
He's in Wales. He's
Right.
in Cardiff. He's just outside of Cardiff. That's where he lives.
I think I
And
am
I'm
the
in
next
Giza.
closest. I think me and Nick are the next two closest. Which is weird that we've never gone to hang out. That's weird. Anyway, let's get into some mailbag questions. We've got 4 questions for this week. 4 excellent questions. You guys sent in some awesome questions this week. And we're really excited to get into them. So, Usef, what do you say we just dive on into them, right?
Let's go. Let's see the first question. Is it from Alicia?
Alicia.
excuse me?
Yep. The first question this week comes from Alicia Knoll. And Alicia sends in and says, "Hi there, Star Wars Canon Podcast crew. I just recently found your podcast on Spotify, and after giving your show a shot, I love it. I showed it to my girlfriends, and they also like listening to you guys talk about our favorite thing in the world. We wanted to ask, what's one thing you always try to keep in mind when talking publicly about a piece of canon material? We have our tickets for Celebration next year, and look forward to meeting you. May the Force be with you always." So thanks for sending in the question, Alicia. It's a good question because we talk about a lot of canon stuff publicly here.
Exactly.
And a lot of it is very subjective.
Mhm.
And we're not so nice about some stuff. But to answer your question, one of the things that I try to keep in mind when talking about a piece of canon material, whether I like it or not, mainly because when I don't like it. Man, I'm coughing so hard. I think I'm pulling a muscle in my arm. Holy crap.
That's all right.
But
We're almost done.
We're getting there. One of the things that I keep in mind, especially when I don't like a piece of canon material, is that every piece of canon material is somebody else's entry point into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to keep that in mind. What about you, Yusuf?
Yeah, no, you're spot on right there, because I think the goal, especially with Star Wars, really isn't to win an argument. It shouldn't be. It's really just to keep the conversation going, is to keep people excited about it. I keep going on about this, that there's something for everybody in Star Wars. So we gotta talk about it. We gotta interpret things differently, because this character should have done this, because this character should have done that.
Right.
It's all about the philosophy behind it. I mean, for example, the Force is unique to Star Wars. It's extremely unique to Star Wars, because how the Force is interpreted, how the Force is its own sort of, it has its own will, sort of. It is the will of the Force, and there's a balance to the Force that must be maintained, sort of thing. Something like that can be interpreted differently. Somebody else can say, like, well, no, I mean, that's not the Force. The Force, I mean, it's just magic, right? It's all about who does what to what. I mean, it's not necessarily the Force. It's just balance of power. Any tyranny throughout history, even human history, where there is no technical force that we've seen, sure, you may believe in karma, but eventually something comes up and topples that. The Roman Empire crumbled eventually, et cetera, et cetera. You can talk about it in different ways. So there's a lot of, I mean, I'm not saying just always keep positive, because you can have a negative opinion. It doesn't, and if you do praise it, it doesn't mean it's blind praise. You can critique respectfully. Yeah. We're always talking about this, because fans, this is extremely important. I mean, obviously we're always banging on about this, but a fan of something, period, no matter who you are and what it is that you're a fan of, you should never feel attacked for loving something.
Right.
So, and you should never feel attacked for
not
like having an opinion.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the goal should not be to win arguments, basically, is what I keep in mind whenever I'm talking about canon. I also try to keep in mind that, especially when 789 came out and how we felt about that, that there are people like here. I know two friends here in Egypt who are huge Star Wars fan. They're on the Egypt Star Wars fan page, and one of them manages his own Egypt Star Wars fan page, because his content is all in Arabic completely, so that people that aren't really fluent in English can sort of watch it there, which is and talk to him about it there and debate it there, which is great. I love it. I love Mina. Shout out to Mina, and he is he has openly said multiple times, I act like 789 don't exist. That's exactly his opinion. I just act like 789 don't exist. But Mina and I don't do that, because it's canon. The movie's out, the films are out. It's okay. It's a story. Let's talk about it. Like the characters are there. He's like, nope, sorry, not doing it. Okay, fine, Mina. All right, you're clearly really upset about it. Eventually, for example, I told him that I was getting into novels, and he does not like any Claudia Gray novel.
What?
I'm like, okay. These are too many issues. These are too many issues between me and you, Mina. Like, we really are. There's a problem, right? And he's like, no. She's like way too emotional. The books aren't like cinematic enough. And he's like, wait. Okay, hang on. The books aren't cinematic enough. The Claudia Gray novels are all cinematic. I love them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like hugely immersed. I haven't even read that many Claudia Gray novels, but seriously, they're all super immersive. And yeah, they play on emotions a lot. I like that. Okay, so that might be a critiquing point, but she's not always too emotional, because in those bits with the battle scenes and stuff, she's very action and very oriented. Like, the books pick up and run sometimes. So yeah, it's just a matter of opinion. Yeah. So I've had plenty of conversation with people who are not happy with the content, and it's just I like your question a lot. And oh, by the way, honestly, like, hearing that you and your girlfriends are going to Celebration next year is exactly what gets us sort of excited. Like, yes, this is why we want to see you guys excited and going to Celebration, and hopefully I'll be there. We're trying to get some Star Wars Canon Podcast t-shirts or hoodies out so we can wear them. So if anybody knows the podcast, you can see us.
I did tell Kirsty I was going to try to get a ball cap made with like a Richardson ball cap with the logo on it. I'm going to try to do that. When we have to talk negatively about something, you guys know I'm very honest when I talk about what I don't like. I try to be polite about it, because like I said, as much as I don't like the sequel films as a trilogy together, my son does. My son loves them. And so that was kind of, he watched all of the other Star Wars movies so that he could watch the new ones, because he was playing Fortnite and he wanted to know the new characters and everything. And so that was kind of his entry point into Star Wars, honestly. That was part of it. And so I'm not going to badmouth, like you said, everything is subjective. Everything is subjective. There's nothing that is objectively bad. There's nothing that is objectively good. I mean, like, we were going through the comments on Mando and Grogu a while ago. There's positive and negative. You know, there's no way to quantifiably measure how good a movie or a piece of art is, right? Now you could say, you know, box office or sales, you know, but does that really say anything either, you know? Because really, if a sequel comes out, the sales of that one are based off of how much people like the first one, not necessarily how good the second one is, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of hard to quantify that. But when we talk about stuff we don't like on here, the way I look at it is if I don't tell you about the stuff I don't like and why I don't like it, and I'm not honest about that, you guys aren't going to believe me when I tell you how much I do like something. You know what I mean?
That's a good take.
And so I want to be very honest with my opinions on here, you know, and that's all it is an opinion. It's not, this isn't me quantifiably saying these movies suck, right? And so that's not it. Obviously, they made billions of dollars, right? So, I mean, and people like them. People wear Rey stuff everywhere. My son's favorite character is Rey, you know, and so obviously people like them. But yeah, that's, for me, the biggest thing I keep in mind is that it's the entry point for somebody. Every comic book, every novel, every TV episode, every cartoon, everything is an entry point, is somebody out there in the world somewhere is like, I'm going to watch Star Wars for the first time. And they've picked up that piece. And that's their entry point somewhere. And so who am I to badmouth that? I'm not making the movies. You know, if they hired me to make a Star Wars movie right now, I'd freeze up. I'd be like, what do I do with my hands? You know, so I wouldn't even know where to start. So who am I to tell somebody they don't know what they're doing? But yeah, no, absolutely.
Wise words, my friend.
I try. There's some wisdom up here, believe it or not, despite what my mother says. There's some wisdom up here. Despite what my wife says,
moms.
there's
God
some,
bless wives.
There's some up there. What did Dex say? There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom, and
There you go.
yeah, wisdom is just the application of knowledge, I think is what it is. So anyway, thanks for the question, Alicia.
Wait. I really like this. There was this saying. So I know it's a pretty old saying, and I'm pretty sure you know it as well. But there was this rugby coach in England who came out a while back, and he said this in an interview because he pretty much had a reporter asking that question, something about him needing to exercise some sort of wisdom while he's on the pitch, and the coach was like, "I'm not going to try to do a British accent, even though I do have a British accent. I'm not going to try to." He was like, "Knowledge is knowing that tomatoes are fruit. A tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad."
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Just saying knowledge and wisdom right now. Just
perfect.
Reminded me.
That's a great quote. That's absolutely
Yeah,
perfect.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, we're looking forward to seeing you guys at Celebration, Alicia. Hopefully we'll get to run into you guys. If you guys see us there, come on up and say hey. That's the whole point of Celebration, right? It's to go hang out with everybody and meet everybody. And so definitely looking
100%.
forward to it. So yeah, come on up and say hey. We'll hang out and we'll see what's going on at Celebration, man. Hope to see you there. Thanks for sending in the question. Question number 2 this week comes from Brady Miller. That's a good strong name. It's a good strong last name. I like that. That's good. Brady Miller.
Is your cousin or not?
No,
And
I
you both
don't
shared
think
the
I'm related to any Bradys.
Brian and Brady also, the names aren't too far.
I know they're pretty close, but I don't think I'm related to anybody named Brady. I might be somewhere down the line. Who knows? I don't know. There's Millers freaking everywhere. It's like the 7th most popular name in the States. I don't know. Anyway, so Brady Miller sends in, "Hey there, Brian and crew. I wanted to ask if you thought the appearance of Anakin in Episode 1 sped up or altered Palpatine's plans at all. You guys have a great show and freaking rock. Much love from South Carolina." Thanks for sending in the question, Brady. Usef, there's a lot that there's some variables to this because there's some things we don't know, and if some of the things we don't know are true, then no, I don't think that this was anything that altered Palpatine's plans. But if the variable isn't part of it, then yes, I absolutely think so. Do we want to break this down, or do we just want to look at it at face value? Let's break it down. Let's break this down real quick.
Let's break, because I have a question I want to start you off with.
Okay.
If Anakin wasn't part of the picture,
Mm-hmm.
would Qui-Gon still have died? Probably
Yes.
not, right?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, he would have?
I think so.
Okay, you'd have to say yes.
If you take
So if
Anakin out of that
Qui-Gon still
equation,
dies, if Qui-Gon still dies and Obi-Wan still kills Darth Maul,
right?
then Count Dooku still becomes Darth Tyrannus.
Yes,
Now, Anakin doesn't. Anakin is the one that kills Darth Tyrannus. Without Anakin,
right.
probably wouldn't have been able to kill him. And that whole Clone Wars against separatists would have lasted a lot longer. Would it
I think
not?
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Wait, your turn now because I do. You see where I'm going?
Yeah,
with
yeah. I
this,
see
so
where
wanna see
it's.
your
It's.
take.
This
I'm
is kind of
breaking
like
it
one of
down.
those what ifs, right? That we talk about every week.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
absolutely.
kind of like
Yeah,
a what if. So in which we have another what if coming up. So the way I see this going out, because if Anakin wasn't in the picture, let's say Qui-Gon never freed Anakin, right, from slavery, whatever. And he goes back to the Naboo ship with the parts, and they go to Coruscant. They go to the Jedi Council. Whether Anakin's there or not, Darth Maul still attacks Qui-Gon on Tatooine.
Yeah.
You know? And so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are going to talk about Darth Maul to the Council, everything like that. Because remember, Qui-Gon brought up Anakin as an afterthought at that council meeting. They were talking about the Sith Lord thing, and then when Obi-Wan went to walk out, Qui-Gon just stood there.
Qui-Gon didn't.
Yeah, he just stood there, and that's when he brought up the Anakin thing. So all of that happening, I mean, with Anakin, whether he was there or not, everything would have still happened. I think Padme would have still decided to go back to Naboo. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan would have went with her. Maul would have been there. I think that fight would have still happened, but it wouldn't have been Anakin blowing up the ship up in orbit. You see what I'm saying? So I think Qui-Gon would have still died. Dooku would have still left and become an apprentice. But I don't know what would have become of Obi-Wan. Because I don't know. Maybe he would have ended up having a different apprentice. Yeah. But did it alter Palpatine's plans? We have to ask. We have to apply this. Was Palpatine and Plagueis directly responsible for the creation of Anakin? Yes or no? Because if they weren't, then I think that Anakin showing up was like, oh crap, we need to turn this kid. You know, if this story is true,
yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. If this story is true and he really was conceived by the midichlorians and he really is the chosen one, we can use that to our advantage. And so I think that would have altered it or would have sped it up. However, if they were directly responsible for Anakin being created, falls right into their plans. Exactly. I think that's just part of it. And they weren't necessarily sure when this kid was going to show up or when this person was going to show up, if he was even going to show up. But I don't want to say it sped it up, but it may have altered them a little bit. It may have altered Palpatine's plans just a little bit. I don't know. I can't really. I wish JG was here because JG is really good at the what ifs, and I don't know. I really don't have an answer for this.
I think that. So let me also break this down. Is that
I don't think it would have sped it up.
I think we both agree that Palpatine planned a Sith takeover anyway. Darth Sidious planned that,
right? Because they had the whole clone army being created, whether Anakin showed up or not. Like
exactly. I do think that Anakin accelerated this a little bit, if not a lot, because Anakin wasn't just powerful; he was unexpectedly powerful, right? Yeah, and I think once Darth Sidious Palpatine really saw Anakin, he stopped planning for just a Sith empire. I think he started planning for a whole dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because and then when he starts grooming Anakin a little bit and sort of like bringing him into his sort of good sides and testing him slightly and giving him support, and Obi-Wan is like, you have the ear of Palpatine. You need to go and speak with him. And that sort of thing. Palpatine, I do think Palpatine is clearly obsessed with the kid.
Oh, yeah. Weirdly
and you,
so.
young Skywalker, we will watch your progression with great intent. Something like that at the end of episode 1. Yeah.
Watch your career.
Yeah. No, but this is a great question. It's a nice brain teaser.
Yeah.
Because I do think someone like Dooku Darth Tyrannus would have lasted much longer. I think the Jedi Purge would have been much less efficient. Having stuff like that, because this is what Anakin does. He rises up so fast within the ranks. He is quite a force. Him and Padme do a lot. Like Padme's effectiveness, whatever, is actually largely due to the fact that she knows Anakin really well. So she sees how the Jedi, she's really well connected. Otherwise, Padme and Obi-Wan wouldn't be that well connected in the first place, because they three hang out a lot because of that, not just because of the missions, but because Anakin is like, no, we're going with her because we're going to do this because I have to protect her from that. And Obi-Wan stays with him, and Obi-Wan stays with her, and they go on all these missions together. And then, there's a lot there. And then Anakin turns around and then just is basically the massive Jedi purger.
Yeah.
When he leads the troops into the Jedi Temple, and not just the women and the men, but the children too.
Oh my gosh.
Not just the men, but the women.
Not even the younglings survived.
Indeed, the younglings don't survive. Yes.
So I think the whole plan to take over the galaxy was still going to happen no matter what. Because, like we said, the clone army was already being created. I think that timetable, that set of events was already set in motion. But I think Anakin showing up changed Palpatine's personal plans. I don't think it changed the greater plan. I think it changed his personal plans for the Sith, not necessarily for the Empire. But think about this, too. If Anakin hadn't shown up, if Anakin had never gotten there, if he'd never been found, and it was Dooku who was his apprentice at the time Order 66 was going on, could Dooku have taken out nearly as many Jedi as Anakin did? And would Order 66, like you said, have been anywhere near as effective without Anakin?
Probably not.
So it's interesting. That's why I think that's why I think maybe the plans altered a little bit, but I don't think they accelerated or slowed down. I mean, there was 13 years there between Anakin showing up and then Order 66. So I think that gave Palpatine plenty of time to start moving pieces a little bit differently, kind of tweak his plans here, tune it in, and try to get Anakin on board and try to time Anakin's fall perfectly with what he already had planned with Order 66 and with the clones and with the war and everything. So I don't know if it sped it up. I think maybe it altered it a little bit, but I don't think it really sped it up at all. Anything else you want to add to that? Because that's
no,
not
a lot. So. No, honestly, we've pretty much broken down quite a bit, but I don't think it would have sped it up. And if it did, it wouldn't have sped it up a lot because it was still about the Clone Wars versus the Separatists. This whole charade that Palpatine was playing off of. Right. In fact, I don't think so. If Anakin wasn't part of the Clone Wars, they wouldn't have won as much.
Oh no, not by a long shot.
So the Separatists might have won anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if the Separatists took a lot of the control, or had a stronger footing, and then a weakened Jedi Order and a weakened Republic, he could have then Palpatine, would have then taken the Clone Wars, the clone troops, turned them on, done Order 66 basically, and purged them also, and done that purge. It would have it might actually have been more. I was just thinking about me saying that it would have been as efficient. It might have actually been quite efficient. And then both the Republic and the Separatist forces
could have been
hunting down Jedi.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Exactly, this could go a number of ways.
There's a lot. This can go into many different directions.
What ifs always get very messy. What ifs always get very messy.
Very good question.
Very good question. Yeah, thanks for sending that in, Brady. I do appreciate it. 2 more questions for this week. Third question comes from Arnold Fives Robinson. I love that because Fives, that's actually my D&D character's name. I'm in a D&D group and I'm a rogue, and the way they introduced me into the group, because they started the campaign before I joined. And so they introduced me halfway through, just a few sessions in, but they found this cryopod that just had a bunch of numbers on it. And so that's what they call me and so they're like, what do you want it to be? And I was like, Fives. I want it to be a bunch of fives. And they just call me Fives. And they're like, is that a Clone Wars reference? I'm like, it's absolutely a Clone Wars reference. Yes. And so that's my D&D character name is Fives, because my character has amnesia and doesn't remember what his actual name, whatever. Anyway, we're not here to talk about D&D. But I thought that was cool. Arnold Fives Robinson. Arnold writes in and says, what if Luke and Leia had been trained to take down Vader and Palpatine instead of just Luke? I love what ifs. They get so messy. I love them so much. I actually want to add to this question, Usef. Why wasn't Luke and Leia trained to fight them instead of just Luke? Or why wasn't it Leia instead of Luke? Why wouldn't you do
I've had this question
both?
for ages. You're absolutely right. I've had this question for ages. Ever since I never had this question answered until I asked you guys this. Because at the end of Empire, well, towards the end of Empire, when Luke flies off of Dagobah to go face Darth Vader and save his friends, Han and Leia, and R2, excuse me, he has R2 with him,
Right.
and then Obi-Wan talks to Yoda. He's like, "That boy is our last hope," and then Yoda's like, "No, there is another."
Yeah.
And I never knew who that other was.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. It must be Leia, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's never been confirmed to me.
Yeah, I
but
think
then you
it's-
guys were like,
I think
yeah.
it's Leia.
He's talking about Leia. There is no one else. He is talking
Yeah.
about Leia. And then eventually, when Leia is the one who's training Rey, so you have trained, like Leia has been training, and Luke did train Leia a little bit, and we see these flashbacks about Leia training and all that stuff. Yes, why wasn't Leia trained? I don't know. Like,
I
properly,
got no
fully,
question
like,
for it, or no answer for it.
But to talk about this also, I want to talk about the differences between. So this is what I was thinking a lot. Like, what does Luke represent? What does Leia represent to me? Maybe it's because I'm quite an aura farmer. Like, I love this sort of like. So what am I getting from this character? What do they do to the story? What do they do for me? What do they do to the story? So I'm going to ask you this. I think that Luke is there's a lot of compassion in him, and he represents a lot of hope. Whereas Leia, she is really disciplined. She is such a leader and very intelligent. She gets that from her mother.
Yes.
And she's really, and also from her adoptive father, Bail Organa.
Yeah.
He's very, very astute. He's worked with Padme throughout. He's been in the Senate. He's seen the galaxy tear itself apart. He's been on the wrong side of a conspiracy. He's been on the side of the resistance. I mean, wrong side of conspiracy. As in he's on the losing side.
Right.
From
right.
when with the whole Palpatine and everything that we were talking about. And he's also been helping the resistance sort of form up in the shadows. So she's seen all of this. But if Luke and Leia were those sides, they're two sides of the same coin, basically, because they would balance each other out perfectly. But this has risks because, so if these two came up against Palpatine and Vader, what would happen? When Leia, so Leia technically doesn't know up until the end of episode 6, right? She finds out in novels, in Bloodline,
right,
that Vader is her. Well, she knows before the Bloodline. She knows before that, but it's found out publicly that Darth Vader is her father, basically. Leia, I'm not sure if she comes up against Palpatine and Vader, and if she learns and understands that that Darth Vader is her father. So does Palpatine now have two Skywalkers that he can try to manipulate? Is Leia quite stubborn? So with discipline, with leadership, with this political intelligence, there can be a lot of stubbornness, and that's kind of the whole sort of tit for tat thing in her romance with Han Solo, is that she's quite stubborn, whereas he's kind of like free floating, going with the flow sort of thing. So does that make her vulnerable? Because she could, if you're stubborn, that's one way to anger. She could get angry, and one of the major like fan art things, as soon as not when AI came out, but like when I was looking at like Star Wars stuff in general and what ifs on YouTube, especially with Stupendous Wave, which is one of my favorite YouTube content for Star Wars, seeing a picture of Darth Vader sitting in the Emperor's throne with Leia behind him under a cowl, that was intense for me to see. That was intense, like, because if he does defeat, the what if he defeats Luke, or what if Luke doesn't make it, or what if Palpatine seduces Luke, something like that. The what if ended with what if Palpatine defeats Luke. Vader is like, oh no, you're not taking my son, and he sort of rises up and he defeats Palpatine, and then Luke attacks him and Vader. He's like, no, there can be neither of you, and that's it. And then Vader ultimately defeats Luke because Luke's too angry to maintain control. But then Yoda tries to train Leia, and then Leia goes to Vader, and then Vader is sort of, he's still on the dark side, but he's brought Anakin's fatherly instincts out. So he's able to seduce Leia from that angle because she's a girl. Now, I don't really like that story, obviously. It's just one of the what ifs that somebody's thought about it. And this is how he tells the story, I think, if I remember it correctly, is because he's sort of like the father figure that she's wanted, because she knows that Bail Organa is not her actual father, but she's aching for that. So, but I mean, back to Fives' question. If the two Skywalkers had trained together, would they have potentially saved the galaxy faster? Or would they have destroyed it twice as hard?
I
You
love
know what
that.
I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
I don't
Twice as
think
hard.
so. Obviously, it's probably the former and not the latter, because they probably would have been two heroes are better than one sort of thing.
Right.
And I don't think they would have really have been seduced because Luke wasn't really close to being seduced by Vader. Not even close. Not really. Because when he finds out that Vader is his father, he is conflicted and he's upset. But he's like, I mean, look at what the Emperor's done to him, sort of thing. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure where to go with this next.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's so interesting. See that thought process and how it sort of
Yeah.
displays down here. Like, it's just, yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. So even there's some canon stuff that talks about Yoda wanting or having thought Leia was going to be the chosen one, or the one that was going to come to Dagobah.
Interesting.
There's, from a certain point of view, the novels or the short stories, Yoda really thought Leia was the one, because he says in Empire, talking about Luke, he goes, "For a long time have I watched this one, always looking away into the future, and to excitement, to adventure, and all this, never his mind on where he was or what he was doing." That means he was watching Leia too, and he saw Leia become this leader of the rebellion, this senator, this
Of Alderaan.
this
Senator of
diplomat,
Alderaan.
and so which is a huge aspect of being a Jedi, right? Being able to be a diplomat and being all this, and like you said, the discipline and everything like that.
And she's involved, and she's
Yes.
educated, and she knows what's going on, rather than
Yes.
just sort of being out in the wilderness. Yeah.
And so I get where Yoda's coming from. He thought Leia was going to be the one to come.
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But I don't know why they didn't train them both at the same time, because I feel like training just one and then hoping it works, and then if they turn to the dark side or die, and then we're just like, well, we'll just start over 3 more years and we'll train this one. You know what I mean? Like, how? So here's the thing. Even if Luke had turned to the dark side or been killed in Empire, right? Because remember, Yoda said now matters are worse, right? Because he's gonna find out that Vader is his father. He might turn to the dark side. That's even worse. How are Obi-Wan and Yoda supposed to get Leia to come to Dagobah now? I guess Obi-Wan could appear to Leia. She knew who he was after seeing the Obi-Wan series, and saying, "Leia, you will go to the Dagobah system. There you will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me." And then, wouldn't it have been funny though? Like, had like Yoda dropped something and been like, "Oh, I might have had an apprentice before you." Like, and Leia's like, "Who is she?" "Oh, it might have been your twin brother. He may or may not have been."
Your brother.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They were worried about Luke finding out that Vader was his father, right? Can you imagine if Luke had fallen to the dark side and it was Vader and Luke was the apprentices, and then they start training Leia, and then they're like, "Oh man, Leia cannot find out that that's her father and brother." Like, she didn't even know she had a brother. She cannot find out that that's her father and brother. That would have made for an amazing reveal, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And here's another question. Would they have been trained knowing that they were brother and sister, or would they have just been trained thinking that they were just two separate normal people that...
I'm pretty sure they would have figured it out with their connection with the Force, because they would have connected with each other so much easier. But let me ask you this as well. So Obi-Wan, when he charters Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, Chewie, and he has Luke and R2-D2, if they don't run into the Death Star, and that's a new moon, and they don't just get stuck in there,
Right.
they're going to Alderaan, right?
Yes.
So they're going to Alderaan because basically when they try to go to Alderaan, the planet's not there anymore, and it's the Death
Oh,
Star
they went to
mission.
Alderaan because that's where Obi-Wan and Luke asked them to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not...
Because he's
that's not where
going
they
to
were-
meet
yeah.
up with Leia, because Leia sent him the message, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Oh,
remind me
Leia was
home."
going to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan.
Okay.
It was
So Leia's
Leia.
going to Tatooine, and she gets intercepted.
Yes. Yeah. Because that's why in Rogue One you see Mon Mothma take Bail off to the side, and she's
Yeah.
like, "What about your friend, the Jedi?" And he's like, "I will send somebody to collect him." And she's like, "Send somebody you can
somebody
trust."
loyal.
And he's like, I trust her with my life. That's what her mission was to go to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan. That's she even says it in her hologram message. She goes, my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. That was her mission, was to go get Obi-Wan and bring him to help fight everything. So, but man, that's fun to think about. I just don't understand why they didn't train them both at the same time.
I was gonna try to take this story into a direction where Obi-Wan is still alive, and he takes Leia and Luke, and he trains them both, and then takes them to Yoda. Let me take you to my master. And then they go, you know what I mean? Technically, Yoda didn't mentor him himself, but yes, of course, training for you I have.
Yeah.
But, he is still his master, ultimately, in all intents and purposes, being the Grand Master of the Jedi Order and all that. But yeah, no, that can't happen because we're playing with too many cogs in
too many variables.
Too many cogs in the motor here.
Way too many.
But yes, no, it's a great question. I love this question because Leia, there is no clear answer as to why Leia wasn't trained.
Right.
It would have been amazing if she was. I think the only reason was just that, Luke knows Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan learned to be a Force ghost, and then Obi-Wan, when he dies...
Yeah, but Leia knew Obi-Wan too.
Yeah, absolutely, but she didn't understand what the Force was in a Force ghost, and Obi-Wan had started Luke's training, and that's the only reason why Obi-Wan didn't think to tell Leia, hello, Leia, you need to go to Dagobah.
Maybe that was actually the plan all along, and we just didn't realize it. I just thought of this, because if they were going to Alderaan, that means Obi-Wan was taking Luke with him to Alderaan. He knew Luke and Leia were about to meet for the first time.
Exactly.
So maybe that was the plan, was to do both of them
exactly.
at the same time.
That's kind of where I was going with this. But we can't play with too many points and say, what if Vader doesn't destroy Alderaan? Or Grand Moff Tarkin, excuse me. What if he doesn't give the order to destroy Alderaan? And they just land on Alderaan looking for Leia.
Right.
And then maybe they save Leia, and Obi-Wan saves Leia, and Luke and they go. Maybe Obi-Wan escapes Vader somehow and takes Leia and Luke, and they all go to Dagobah together or somewhere else. I'm not sure.
Man.
But yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's because had we followed that through, had Alderaan not been destroyed, had Leia not been captured, she would. Well, see, here's the thing though. If Leia's mission was to come get Obi-Wan from Tatooine to go help,
then they never meet Luke.
Would Obi-Wan have even left?
Yeah. So Leia would have gone to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan would have brought Luke in because he knows who Luke is, and he's been protecting Luke this whole time.
And if Leia shows up on Tatooine, he's going to be like, "Oh, by the way, I have somebody you need to meet."
Exactly. Let me introduce you to someone.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? That I would like to see that. Actually.
Yeah, for real.
She arrives on Tatooine, and they're talking, and then he starts, and then he's like, "Let me introduce you to someone." Luke, let me introduce you to someone.
That's a fun question. I like that question. And, honestly, it would have been along the lines of what we got in Rise of Skywalker with Ben and Rey up against Palpatine. It would have been Luke and Leia up again. And then here's the other thing. Had Luke and Leia gone to confront them in Return of the Jedi, right? Had they not, because if Leia was on Dagobah, Luke wouldn't have left to go fight Vader, you know what I mean, by himself. And so they would have stayed and completed their training and then went and fought Palpatine and Vader. Would Vader have seen Luke and Leia and realized that they were his children? And would that have turned him back to the light side? And then all three of them go fight Palpatine? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's wild to think about.
It would have been more overwhelming for him, and he would have been, don't know the power of the dark side.
Because if he sees his two kids in front of him, that he said, because Palpatine told him, you killed Padme.
Much like your mother.
Yeah.
And then he would have been,
oh my God. Yeah, he'd have.
Man,
I didn't even think we could go so far down that rabbit hole.
I mean, I remember this line. So Darth Vader in one comic book, he runs into one of Padme's doubles.
Yes, Sabe.
And it's something like who he saw the clothes, but at first it was a smell. It was like a similar skin lotion or perfume or something like that. If I'm remembering correctly, or maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm trying to remember that because I love perfume and clones and stuff. How very Arab of me. But yeah, the thing is that his heart skips a beat. Like his whole system sort of like takes a pause.
Yeah.
When he looks at her and he's like, "What? I'm sorry. What now?" He does like a triple take.
Yeah.
Like a double take, like a triple take. Because he knows she's dead. And then he hears her speak. And then immediately he snaps back. He's like, "Oh, it's you."
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean? So if he sees Leia and he remembers. Oh man, well, not easily, but I mean, they both of them together, they could probably turn Vader back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all three of them take down Palpatine and save it. But then Vader probably doesn't survive that either, because Vader ultimately, through taking down Palpatine, that's really what sort of destroyed him physically. It's just, that's it, I'm spent. And how old is he when Vader dies? He's not even 40.
He's in his 40s.
Oh, he's in his 40s. Wait, okay, hang on. So
we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna brain this real quick.
Yeah. Because Vader. So
he was 9 in episode 1.
He was 9 in episode 1.
He was 19 and 2.
19 and 2, and he's 22.
22 when he becomes Vader.
Yeah.
So then you've got.
He stays Vader. How old is Luke when he goes to Dagobah?
19.
When he
goes to Dagobah, no, he was 20. When he goes to Dagobah, he was 22 when he went to Dagobah.
Okay.
So you add 22
so 22
to
plus. Yes, so basically 22 plus 22 when he
44
faces Vader for the first time. Vader tells him that
plus
he's
another year. So Vader was 45 when he died. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Vader was 44 when he told Luke that, no, I am your father. And then the year after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
45. Wow.
Man, we could. There's a rabbit hole there that I don't think my big butt's gonna fit down. Man, I'm claustrophobic to go that far down that one. That's an interesting one though. Thanks for sending in the question, Fives. Appreciate that, because that's an interesting one. That's a really good one. I'm gonna have to ask JG about that one, because I want to know what he would have. JG's so good at what ifs. God, he's so good at those.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Arnold. Really appreciate the question.
The fourth and final question this week comes from Wade Grant, and Wade writes in and says, "Hey, podcast friends, I love your show and can't wait for this week's episode. Also looking forward to trying to spot Brian and JG in the live broadcast on YouTube for Celebration next year.
Hopefully you'll see Usef too.
Hopefully we'll see Usef a whole head above everybody else. Maybe they'll see him and be like, hey, you want to be a Wookiee in a movie? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, hell.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Hey, you're a tall guy. So Wade says, something has always bothered me, and I'd like your opinion on this. Do we have a canon story for the bounty hunter encounter that Han talks about in Empire Strikes Back? I've read most of the comics that take place there and haven't found anything. Thanks for the question, Wade. You were not alone. That has bothered me ever since the second run of Star Wars has finished, because the second run of Star Wars happened between, the first run. The first run happened between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and it went like 75 issues. And yeah, we never got that story. That never happened anywhere.
Surprisingly vague.
But what's funny is, the stories we did get lead right up to Hoth, and that never happens. The bounty hunter on Ord Mantell never happens. I've wondered the same thing. I've had that same question for a long time. I've wondered, and I've even speculated as to which bounty hunter I want it to be. That if they were to ever tell that story, which bounty hunter it would be. It used to be Cad Bane. I used to want Cad Bane to be the bounty hunter that went after Han Solo for Jabba the Hutt. And then I wanted it to be Embo from Clone Wars. And now I'm kind of on this boat, this bandwagon, that if they ever do tell this story, I'm willing to bet money it's going to end up being Din Djarin from Mandalorian.
Whoa.
I'm almost willing to bet money that if they were to tell that story, they would connect it to their Mandalorian stuff and make it Din Djarin.
I absolutely love that take.
I think that's what they're going to... Personally, I think I would rather it be like Cad Bane or Embo. I think I'd rather it be one of those two. But I
absolutely love that take.
I feel like, because that's something that Disney would do, right? That's something they would bring in one of their other characters that they came up with, right? And say, hey, we're going to bring him in and put him in the original trilogy. And it was the Mandalorian that came after Han Solo.
It was Din Djarin all along.
Yeah. But no, we don't have a story for that. We actually don't. No. Kirsty and I were just talking about this last week or week before. Week or week before.
Before you say, let me ask you a quick question. In Star Wars Outlaws, because I haven't finished the game.
Sure.
So you don't meet Lando, do you, in Star Wars Outlaws?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
You do. Yes.
But you don't meet Han. Wouldn't it have been cool if you met Han Solo?
No, yeah, you do. You do meet Han. You do meet Han. He's frozen in carbonite. He's frozen in carbonite on Jabba's wall. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, you do meet Han Solo. And you see Boba Fett through a vent. Like, you're crawling through this vent, and you look through the side, and you see Boba Fett talking to somebody.
Okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
but no, I guess you do meet Han Solo because it's between Empire and Jedi. So you come up and there's even some
Right.
comments about it, and she's like, somebody is, who do you think that is? And she's like, I don't know, somebody that crossed Jabba. And like he's just like stuck on the wall.
I really want to finish Outlaws. It's just not my cup of tea. Anyway, but yes, so that's cool. That's interesting because this kind of story really would have fit well in Outlaws. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like if you just sort of hear about this story and then you
Yeah.
see a holotape of it, or Lando tells the story about Han crossing, doing this and that. There's even about you have to go in after him on Ord Mantell and this happened. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. You said you were in Kirsty. Were talking.
Oh yeah, no, we were talking. We watched Empire the other day, and it was that scene with Han and Leia arguing in the hallway, and I was like, man, they had the original hallway scene. Han and Leia had the original hallway fight. But I was like, as soon as Han says that, you know, that bounty hunter we ran into on Ord Mantell changed my mind. I was like, that's never come up. That has never come up. That has never been mentioned in a story anywhere. There's never been any other reference to that. And to me, I feel like that'd be a big fight. You know what I mean? Unless
I get exactly what you mean.
Unless it did happen somewhere and I just did not realize that was it. That's the only. But I've read all of it and I don't remember seeing that. The only thing I can think of is.
To be honest, though, I'm kind of okay with this mystery. Like it adds a depth to Han.
Yeah, a little bit. The only thing I can think of
adventurous.
is there was a fight that took place in the comics somewhere, but it was like well before they ever even got to Hoth, and I feel like Han would have left way sooner than that. I feel like the fight had to have been pretty recent compared to Empire to make him go, time to leave, right? And so I don't, because he already had Chewie fixing the Falcon. He already planned on leaving. Because he had Chewie trying to fix the Falcon so they could get out of there. That's why when he comes back in at the very beginning of Empire, and he's like, all right, don't lose your temper. I'll come right back and give you a hand. He already had him trying to fix it so they could get out of there. Yeah, no, he really wanted to leave. Han really wanted to leave. So I'm thinking it had to have been like some kind of big bounty hunter, like big name bounty hunter, right? And it had to have been a close call. Because even when he's yelling at Chewie, he's like, I'm trying to get us out of here and you want to pull us apart? Put them back together right now. And he's like yelling at Chewie to put the Falcon back together. And then when 3PO is like, can I ask what's going on? And Han is basically just talking to him. So he's like, why now? Why does Luke have to disappear now when I'm getting ready to get out of here? You know, like, and so Han had every intention of leaving without saying goodbye to Luke. Like, he was just going to get on the Falcon and go. Like, so whoever it was that showed up had to have scared the crap out of him. And him like, I've got to go talk to Jabba the Hutt, you know? So, we don't have a canon story for it. We absolutely don't.
Unfortunately.
I want it, though, because I just want to know which bounty... Just tell me which bounty hunter it was. You don't even have to tell me the story. Just tell me which bounty hunter it was. That's all I want to know. Because if it's Cad Bane, that's cool knowing Cad Bane came up against Han Solo. You know? If it's Embo, that's cool.
If it's Cad Bane, that would be super cool, especially that we've seen... Cad Bane in Clone Wars a lot.
Yeah, and in Book of Boba Fett.
And a Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, popped up in Book of Boba Fett. So, yeah, I just want to know which bounty hunter it was. But I'm willing to bet, because I know how Disney thinks right now, and I'm willing to bet if they ever tell that story, that it's going to be like a comic run, and they're going to be on Ord Mantell, and all of a sudden you're going to hear, I'm here for the bounty on your head, and they're going to turn around, and there's Din Djarin, like in all of his beat up armor before he gets the new Beskar, and he's like, and I can either bring you in cold or warm, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like that'd
be amazing.
I just see that. So either way, Han Solo.
Yeah, because he gets the Beskar after
right,
the event.
Right. So it would be before 6.
But yes, but in his old school, yes.
Can you imagine though? Had like Empire Strikes Back not happen because Han got captured by Din Djarin, and he's like, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. And when he says cold, he means frozen in carbonite. So Han would have still gotten frozen in carbonite one way or the other and delivered to Jabba the Hutt. Now it has to be Din Djarin.
That's fantastic.
Now it has to be Din Djarin, just because of that fact alone. But no, we don't have a story on it. Hopefully, we'll get one here before long. But thanks for sending in the question, Wade. Do appreciate it. Guys, I think that's going to wrap us up. I thought we were going to have a shorter episode, but here we are over 2 hours again. Thanks
So
for
much for a
tuning.
shorter episode.
Yeah, right.
You need to get some paracetamol.
I need to
in
get
your
some.
system after
Yeah, I
this.
need to get some throat stuff. Yeah, I'm killing myself over here.
I
Thanks
know
for.
you're like me. You don't like a lot of medication and stuff, but
Yeah, I'm
try
not-
to
not
get
big
this
on
sort
it.
of thing. No,
drink
but thank you for
water.
Thank you all of you guys for sending in the questions. We love it. Honestly, we love looking at these questions because these are fantastic questions.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. We do appreciate it. Make sure to visit our website, Star Wars Canon StarWarsCanon.net. I'm having brain fog right now. StarWarsCanon.net. The description, or the link for that is in the description below. Make sure to visit all of our socials. Go vote on the villain bracket. You can vote multiple times if you want. And just comment comment also on whichever thing you're voting on and who you're voting for and why and everything. We'd love to hear your opinions on it. Anything else, Usef, before we sign off for the week?
I'm super excited. Hopefully, next episode we'll have both seen Mando and Grogu film. Super excited for that.
Yep.
Let us know what you think about the villain bracket. We've got some stuff to talk about, so I'll leave that for next time so that we can show you a full-on sort of display or animated. I've had that thing drawn up and it looks tight. It looks pretty cool.
Toy.
Got some ideas for where we take it next for the next step. So we will want your opinions on that, definitely.
Absolutely.
And yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Miller. It's been a pleasure talking to you for the first time in a long time. It has gone, rather than going from night to day, it has, throughout this episode, has gone from day to night on my side. So it's still good in the evening. I'm about to feed my dogs. I've got 2 big Cane Corsos and have some dinner.
Heck yeah. Fair enough.
Have a good weekend.
Hey, you too, man. Hey, thanks for joining me too, because like you said, I know it's a different time than what we normally record. I appreciate you
Always happy
making the
to
time
record Star
for it.
Wars anytime. Talk Star Wars.
Sweet. Guys, again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week. May the Force be with you.